trade their car, any questions. Your website, especially now, man, people are home. People don't want to leave the house. And if your website there's a lot of ambiguity, then customers are going to bounce, and that's going to increase their search. Imagine going to a dealership's website and every possible question that you have is answered on the site. You wouldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah. Hey, give me the URLs to the sites you want to show, and then I'll load them up, and then you can command me on what to look for.
Perfect. Yeah, let's do that. Use StephenWade.com.
Stephen Wade, is that with a V or PH?
PH.
And part of why that is good is that then I can kind of dork around and ask you questions too.
Then go to Stephen Wade Auto Center and Facebook. I want to talk about some of those videos that we posted up today.
Okay.
And then if we can, pull up the Stephen Wade Toyota Google My Business. And I'll give some tips on that as well.
Okay, so Stephen Wade Auto what?
Center. Yeah, that one right there.
Okay, and then what was the third one?
And then the Stephen Wade Toyota Google My Business.
Oh, I got to be on Google for that. Actually.
Oh, you use DuckDuckGo?
Yeah, and...
Interesting.
Is this Google My Business here? I never thought about that.
Yeah, but let's pull go to the bottom of this one for a moment. All the way. Do show more. Yeah,
well,
no,
I wasn't expecting
that. Let's go to Google. I want to make sure that we address some of the stuff.
Did you get it going there, Jay?
I'm working on it. It's the craziest thing.
There it is. Scroll down.
Oh, what the heck? Why is Evernote showing up? What? That's weird. This is a problem with sharing screens. You never know what's going to pop up. All right, you want me to scroll down, you said?
No, I mean, I know what I'm going to talk about. I just want I on the DuckDuckGo, I wanted to see if it had the same issue.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's more. That's cool that DuckDuckGo incorporates Google My Business.
Well, all the other ones too. Bing has it as well.
Stream goes there.
Hey, David, I'm going to bump you up here to panelist. Your mic will be muted by default. Gray, I'm going to bump you up to panelist. Your mic will be muted by default. Oh, I think you're live, Jay.
Really?
I got a notification. Yeah, you have us live.
Really? You see us?
Yep. You have the Zoom live.
Well, that's what I want.
It's like, that's funny. I'm going to just turn that down.
But it still doesn't show the way it should on my site.
Okay, so we got the 3 up, right, Herb? We're good there.
Yeah. For me, that's what for our conversation.
Oh, I like it, Gray. You're on mute, just so you know. Unmute yourself. Both Gray and David both are muted.
Oh, anyway, sorry. Yeah, now I'm here. I'm just
David's
taking
on
my
the phone.
camera off for the moment until we get going, but I can hear everything.
Okay. How is the automotive State of the Union?
You know, I think it's been very insightful for those who aren't already thinking that way. So I kind of struggle in the fact that as I'm listening to this, I'm like, I've already done this. I've already had somebody come over and shoot video about our new message, our new value promise, what we're doing for the response to this. Um, I thought it was good. Interesting information. I like the way Paul put it together, but it's definitely long. It's been going on for a couple hours.
Just so you know, Jay, who's up here,
I'm listening.
Is host of the AutoTransport Intel Live, and he has us live on his show right now.
Oh,
so
all right.
So yeah, you're on real live TV.
How's it going, man? How you doing?
All right.
Cool. Gray, right? Okay, I'm Jay.
Nice to meet you, Jay.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, so I don't know why, I've had these YouTube technical glitches, so I'm doing some testing, so if I seem discombobulated, I apologize. But
no, it's all right. I was wrapping up that, like I said, that State of Automotive, which I thought was, I think it's very insightful for a lot of dealers, so I've been going back between the two.
Cool, so that was happening today.
Yeah, it was started at about 11 Eastern, so 10 o'clock our time. It's been going on for a little while. They had everybody from Alex Vetter to some marketing companies and some dealers just kind of talking about their response, how they're handling this. And, some people were talking about, customers first, and do I stay open? Do I close? Is the revenue business enough to actually warrant my service drive being open over the fears of my employees catching this?
Yeah.
So,
that's exactly what we're having in car shipping, is that, number one, are we essential business? Number two, should we be doing business?
And that was a lot of the bulk of the conversation, and, changing your messaging and changing, kind of how you're letting the community know that you're here. It's no longer price and promise. It's no longer deal and lease. It's about what are you doing in the community. It was really useful. I'm sure that he'll probably post a recording of it, and I highly recommend kind of skimming through it, the parts that seem interesting based off the agenda.
Cool.
Hey guys.
All right, I'm in.
I like Mike. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you. You sound good. I'm assuming my
You
audio
look
sounds
good,
okay.
Ryan. So
what do you mean?
yeah. Between the two of us, we make a complete.
we're just the whole deal now.
The whole, and then yeah.
Okay. David Rozek, I think Chris is using your login to Zoom. So Chris, if you can hear me, what I need you to do is log out of Zoom and use the Zoom login that you have.
Sure.
Because you both show up as David, and that's confusing.
You got it.
Okay. Let's do introduction. So Jay and Herb have met now for the second time. Raise your hand if you don't know Herb Anderson.
Maybe I think Herb and I have talked on audio calls.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think I've never been able to look at him face to face, I don't think, so to speak.
Not yet, man.
So just so you know, Mike, and hopefully Chris gets back up here. We're live on AutoTransport Intel. Jay is streaming the show live. I don't even know if I need to do it on my channel.
No, I just shared your link. I'm telling you, this is what it's all about. This is what we're talking. We are omni-channel multicasting.
Sharing is caring.
We're live on AutoTransport Intel. We're live on AutoConversion. That is what we're talking about.
All right. So here's what I would like you guys to do. Once Chris gets here, I'm going to give you the live YouTube stream for the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. Let me send it here. All panelists. There we go. Still waiting for Chris. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and do introductions real quick? So everybody knows me. I don't think I need to introduce myself, but we're here for the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show and Mastermind. We're going to go live with my exclusive interview with Jay at the top of the hour. I'll start the show at the top of the hour, goes into my interview with Jay. We'll keep it to about 10 minutes. I have a Lyft driver calling in. Chris, I'm going to bump you up to panelists so you can turn your audio and video on. There you go. And
you got it.
You will be muted by default, Chris, just so you know, but I'm glad you made it back here. So let's go ahead and do intros. Did everyone have a chance to see the blog spread and watch my video?
Yes.
So you kind of know the flow here today.
Yes.
I'm expecting to be on till upwards to 3 Central. And if you got to bail out, beforehand, that's fine. There's nothing, don't feel obligated. Chris, you're on mute.
I
Jay,
will be bailing out a little bit early, Ryan, just so you know. I've got to go run an errand.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I'll hang out with you all day because I have nothing else to do now.
We could make this a marathon.
I feel like I got to go pick up some masks.
All right, let's do intros real quick. Jay, let's start with you.
Hey guys, I'm Jay at AutoTransport Intel. I created the car shipping business channel. Basically, this is a YouTube channel that is where the home is for AutoTransport Intel. And I go live every Tuesday night, and I have experts, interviews, advertisers, and we talk car shipping. Some folks are like, well, what is that, just carriers, maybe some dispatchers or brokers? Not at all. As you guys know, vehicle inventory, where does it come from? How does it get there? OEMs, dealers, auctions, carriers, brokers, dispatchers, insurance, general trucking rules, DOT, FMCSA, IFTA, etc. That all affects car shipping business, new vehicles, used vehicles, repo. It goes on and on. So we're talking thousands, if not millions of people, billions of dollars, and it's a giant industry, but it's overlooked. It's an afterthought for many folks. And actually, car haulers know that well, because when they get to dealerships, sometimes they don't know where to park. They don't know where to load, unload. They don't feel in any way connected to the location they're actually delivering to. It would be like the guy that stocks the milk. He has no idea where to park his truck. He's told to, just park, I don't know, far away. Just get the milk on the shelf. And to many carriers, it seems strange, and they don't have a way to connect to folks about those issues, other than if they work at large fleet carriers. But most of this industry is owner-operators, as a lawyer I talked to calls him One Truck Charlie. And a lot of folks know what that guy looks like. This is a guy who's been on the road all day and just wants to deliver the car, so there's miscommunications there. We haven't even talked about residential moves. I mean, the misunderstandings and hurt feelings and lack of understanding the process, I mean, it happens every day. So on AutoTransport Intel, I try to, on a weekly basis, cover points in all those topics and have interviews about it. And I'm just really proud to be the leading source in car shipping information on such a regular basis.
Any questions? Let's thank you, Jay.
Good.
And hello to AutoTransport Intel live viewers. I think you mentioned you're streaming on your show right now.
We're live right now on AutoTransport Intel. And
so
thank you, Ryan.
Welcome to everybody. I'm taking a photo and I'm setting up a snap story. Let's go through these intros real quick, because we got to go live on our show in a few minutes. But Herb, why don't you go next, please?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Herb Anderson. I am the host of the Dealer Talk podcast and CEO of Dealer Talk Vendor Management Solutions. I've been in the automotive industry for 20 years now, and kind of what I focus on is just helping dealers manage their data so that they can make informed decisions. And I also help with marketing strategies, in particular social media and content creation.
And love what you're doing. You're doing good stuff. So and appreciate you being here. Dave Rozek, why don't you introduce yourself and then introduce Chris, and then we'll let Chris introduce himself.
Got it. So I'm Dave Rozek. I'm the marketing director at Motorworks Auto Group. I'm brand new with the company, trying to help them navigate through everything that's going on in our world and society today. So, and Chris is on with me, and Chris is our vice president of marketing, sales and marketing.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Super happy to bring Dave onto our team here at Motorworks. So we represent 6 luxury brands here in Chicagoland. And as Dave said, right now we're just trying to navigate how to best serve the customer, keep the dealership operating as well as it can be amidst this pandemic. So glad to be here.
And I'll prelude that the schedule today is after the interview with Jay. Mike Phillips is going to start off, so we'll let Mike introduce himself, but then we'll have Dave and Chris do a quick interview. Actually, it'll be Mike, then Gray, and then Dave and Chris. So, Mike, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mike Phillips. I'm the digital marketing executive for McCloskey Motors in Colorado Springs. We're an independent, do about 150 cars a month, and do a lot of online business. Still, this has been a significant transition. Also, I host multiple podcasts. I started in 2010 with a motivational sales podcast called Reignition, and then picked up with one called The Front in 2017. I have a website called Lead the Team where I do leadership education, motivation. Like I said, I transitioned originally from really sales focused into now more leadership and management focused, especially around the auto industry, but talk with kind of core principles that can be applicable anywhere. That's it in a nutshell. I can keep going, Ryan.
No, you're going to have a chance. Mike's a great YouTuber, does some really impressive videos. So definitely check out Mike's Lead the Team. Gray, you're the cleanup batter here.
Gray Scott, marketing director at Muller Honda and Gurney in Highland Park. Kind of, I think, the essential role of any marketing director is to keep the messages flowing, change our delivery in a time of a pandemic, work on some of the creative, and just kind of keep business flowing and interest generated. It's a tough time. I think all of us can agree, but we've done a fairly decent job where I haven't seen our web traffic or those metrics continue to dive, and they've begun to kind of plateau, which is nice. And see what happens in the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you guys.
You yesterday, actually.
Say that again.
With you yesterday, doing some filming and some video work.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring that up today. My visit there was really encouraging to see, I thought.
Well, it's important. That was the gist, Ryan, of the entire State of Automotive that I was just on, was what is your message? How are you connecting to your community? What are you doing for the community? And again, drop all sales, drop all deals, values, and go into the value statement. What does your dealership offer? What's different? What's going to resonate? And how are your customers going to remember you? When this is all done, how are they going to remember you?
And we're going to get into all that. I'm going to get started in 10 minutes. Jay, I just want to address your audience so that they understand what we're doing here.
Awesome.
This is the pre-show of the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. So every Wednesday at 2:00 Central, I do a live webcast on my YouTube channel, and it's called Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. And it's typically about a 30-minute live webcast. And I open up with some mobility-related news items. I do a featured interview. That's you today, Jay. And lately, since the coronavirus pandemic has kicked in, everyone's at home. They've got more flexibility, and there's just been a lot more participation. And so we've evolved the show into the Mobility Space Mastermind. So I ask everyone to come up at the bottom of the hour. That was 1:30 Central, and we do the meet and greet. And that's for us because we don't all know each other. But the audience, there's never an audience here. So this is the first time.
That's what's great, man. The audience should be a part of the meet and greet.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean,
all right.
That's what I'm saying. This is what's new. So I wanted to explain to your audience to know that they're getting behind the scenes reality TV is what they're getting.
That's what everybody wants.
They're getting
it's like backstage
TV.
Passes at Janet Jackson without Janet Jackson.
Oh, wrap your head around that one. Hey, I just got a live chat. Okay, so we're here. That's cool, man.
Now, panelists.
That's the kind of show that I do. I like to do a show where I address the fact that we're all live. And clearly right now we're lucky to be alive. So,
Wow, that's deep.
It is.
That's really
These
deep.
are deep times.
Okay, before we get going on our side, something's weird on my live stream. It's in the studio and it's showing the show plate, and it's not showing what's on my Zoom. So I'm very puzzled by that.
Well, hey, by the way, Ryan, I'm going to say I think you're right. I think the bottleneck was in my switchboard, and I may have corrected it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So for my panelists, guys, I sent the link to the YouTube feed for today's show, and I just ask you to load that on your side, mute it when it starts in a few minutes, and use the live web chat there versus here on Zoom. Obviously, if you want to relay something directly to me or another panelist, you can, but that way any live chat is done in one place on the YouTube feed. And then I'm going to give a small not homework assignment, but here, hold on a second here. Where's my page? So what's going on at AutoTransport right now, Jay?
Well, I got some folks in the live chat saying hello. I got Facebook. I have 2 Facebook streams and a YouTube stream happening. So I'm multicasting. And it's just great to be, multicasting and be here with you guys. Because that's the thing, is that in car shipping, as I mentioned before, is that the dealer part is a very big part, but it's not top of mind when it comes to discussing car shipping. And I find the gap between the dealer and the car hauler to be such an important thing to bridge that I'm happy to be, anytime I can get time with dealers in front of a car hauling audience, I'm excited. And it's not just carriers that watch my show. More and more there's companies, brokers, broker carriers, and then you've got auctions and other third-party service providers watching the show and realizing that what I'm doing is I'm dropping hints of how everyone can communicate better. That's one of the purposes of the show.
Yeah, the information exchange has been very necessary for everybody and therapeutic in a way. Panelists, I just sent a link to a site called On This Day, and do me a favor, scroll through there, look at the birthdays, look at the On This Day, and just reply back on the chat anything that stands out that's novel for today that I'll bring up. Because when I start this, I just kind of do some fun stuff in the beginning. So this is bizarre that we're here and ready to go. Okay. Think we should start early? Never have I had so many people on and ready to go and so much time left before the top of the hour. So.
Well, I tried to help you there. I tried to, talk my way to the starting line, but
usually that's Gray's job.
Well, I stole his thunder, maybe.
No, it's all right. I've been literally glued into that last session for over 2 hours and jumped right into here. So,
which session was that you were on?
In the state of automotive.
Was that an automotive news thing or no?
They were on there, and the chairman of NADA started it off talking about kind of the state of the industry from an 80,000-foot view, letting us know that, at that level, he's got the automotive industry covered.
Well, I stole his thunder, man.
And then from there, no, it's all right. I've been literally glued into that digital retailing dealers over, and even a psychologist talking about the psychology behind dealing with COVID-19 business and being laid off.
It's really when it started at 11 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I jumped on it, and I got to tell you that about halfway through I jumped off, and then I got on another one with automotive news.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same stuff.
It's all the same stuff. Honestly, I mean, we're all sitting here because we're all having the same thoughts, right? We're going to share our opinions on what it is that we're doing to combat this, how we're going to come out. So I think that kind of content's really good for the people that really need it, who don't really know what they're going to do and how, to them, their world is ending. Really, it's just kind of paused and it's about to be reborn.
Yeah, this is a good thing for us. We're going to relearn how to sell cars.
Well, I have,
and how to transport them.
For Gray, Dave, Mike, Chris, you guys are all on the retail side. I think one thing that I notice in media land, if you will, vendors, the business, the industry side, everyone's ready to jump out there and have something to say. And it's tough to get, I think, folks like you guys on the retail side to come and collaborate. So
they're just out of touch with reality, Ryan. A lot of them are so out of touch of what really goes on in our walls. And
Mike's like, yeah. And that's why I'm saying I'm glad you're here, because you're going to, and as we get rolling here today, you're going to be able to share what's actually happening. Like Mike has a really strange predicament in the state of Colorado with the DMV. I mean, it's so ironic. So that's what people are going to get a chance to see. I'm about ready to go live. Anybody find Apple Computer was founded today? Ooh, what year was that, Mike?
I don't know. I closed it. I went and found a cool thing and put it in there. I
I
didn't know I needed the year, dude. 1976.
76.
You said, hey, what's some cool stuff? I assumed you had the link. You sent it to us.
Yeah, but I can't look through it while I'm getting everything ready for today.
Yeah. So in 1976, Apple Computer was founded today, Ryan. Did you know that?
Did you like my tweet from the season finale from last year where you said on this day, I set a tweet up about it. It was you reciting that, and the way you said that reminded me of when you said that. On this day in 2019.
Yeah. On this day in 2019, Mike and Ryan were at a different place in the car business.
Yeah, we were. This world is changing. I almost not even day by day, but it's like hour by hour. It's like changing.
Here, just two quick comments. I know while you're waiting to go live, but I absolutely agree with Gray. One of the struggles we have is the vendors are, some of them are so out of touch, man, and some of them, not all, but some, a high percentage, and it's inclusive. And I won't bring up the whole thing because I know Ryan, you're wanting to kick off the show with it, but it's the same thing. Like politicians and state agencies in our state are just, they're out there. They're like, oh yeah, you can do this, and how, Yeah. And then speaking to what Jay's saying, where he's talking about communication between, especially for your audience, because I know, and I'll be the first to admit, from within our dealership, man, I wouldn't envy being a shipper, because they show up, they call in, they say, hey, where am I supposed to drop this car off? And they always get someone that doesn't know, right? They don't know who they're supposed to call. And they always get, random phone answer of the day. Could be sales, could be service. So, I think I just put in my notes that it's like, man, that's one of the, even from my side as a dealership, and I pride myself on being a pretty good communicator. You to hear someone in your position just bring up something so simple as that, it's like reality check, man. That's massive.
I've called dealerships. So I started as a dispatcher.
Hey guys, I'm going to take us live and get the show started.
Yeah.
So do me a favor, guys, mics and cameras off for right now. And then Jay, I'll call you on when once we're ready. And hopefully this feed works, because there is something wrong over here. All right, cameras off. You guys know how to do your cameras off? There you go. Hit mute if you could while you're typing. All right, live in 5, 4, 3. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome here to today's Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. This is our live weekly webcast of how we are connected and the way we get around. I am Ryan Gerardi. Thank you for being here and joining us. Today is Wednesday, April 1st, 2020. That is no joke. Happy hump day to everyone. Today is also the first Wednesday of April, which makes it a day of hope. Today is a day of hope. And I got to say, if there was ever a time where we needed hope, it is definitely now. It goes without saying. We are in a whole different world, and it's a personal time. It's a personal time for us all, and our worlds are I think a good analogy I would put on today is we're driving down a highway at full speed. You got the windows down, your hair's blowing, the music's loud, and then all of a sudden you slam on the brakes, and you're going to flip your car, or you're going to spin it, and you're going to crash, and and you just can't take your foot off the brake. And I think that's how all of us feel, and we're not even in control. And it's a time where we can only focus on what we can control. It's a very personal time for us all. So I appreciate everybody that's here. Welcome. We are doing something really special today. Really special today. Not only are we streaming live on our YouTube channel like we normally do, but I have my featured guest today is Jay Wurzberger. He is host of the AutoTransport Intel live show for the car shipping business. Every Tuesday he does a live show. Does a great show if you like long form webcasting, and he is streaming our show today live on his channel. So shouts out to the AutoTransport Intel crew. Thanks for being here. We got basically like a dual simulcast today. So I'm going to bring Jay on. Actually, Jay, we should just get your camera on. I might have to do it for you since I bumped it off. Give me a second here.
Okay.
We are going to start your video, and you can put your audio back on. And what's great about having Jay is he is a pro, because he does this all the time too. So Jay, welcome officially to the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show.
Thanks so much, Ron. I appreciate it. It's great to be here. It's great to be multicasting. And, we've had great conversation. You've got an amazing panel lined up. I'm really happy that we're able to mix our networks and find out more about each other. And yeah, I talk about all things car shipping on AutoTransport Intel, and just as I explained in the meet and greet before, that there's just a lot to talk about. OEMs, dealers, carriers, brokers, auctions, repo, and on it goes. It's not just the truckers and the drivers and the trailers and the trucks and the DOT and the FMCSA and the gas prices and the load rates. That is a big part of it, but there's just a lot more to it. And so one of my goals on AutoTransport Intel is to help others think about what better way can we bridge the gap in communication. There's just a lot of misunderstandings. I try to educate the individual car shipper, the one-time car shipper. They're going to ship their car, and they think that, in this, digitized, Amazonized, everything is easy peasy world. Well, car shipping is not easy peasy. And so I'm here to deliver the information. Sorry to tell you, but car shipping's not easy peasy. I'm talking straight from the logistics side. Mm-hmm. That's why car haulers get so frustrated with everybody thinking that they can just put your car delivery in between hair appointments. It's just not like that.
Well, I look forward to getting into our conversation, and I got the what'd you call it, multicast.
We're multicasting.
Just so audience knows what to expect, what we got here today, Jay and I will be talking for a little bit about how the pandemic is affecting the car shipping business. I expect to have a drop-in caller from Amy, who is a Lyft driver here in the Chicagoland area, that I had on the show from the auto show. And she's going to give us an update from life in her world as a shared mobility driver during this pandemic. And then about 20 minutes towards the bottom of the hour, we'll start our mastermind session. I had the slides up. I have Mike Phillips from McCloskey Motors in Colorado Springs. He's going to give us an update on his situation as an independent dealer in Colorado. They're facing a kind of a frustrating predicament that that's limited by the outdated DMV system there. After that, I'll have Gray Scott. He's from a high volume Honda dealership here in the Chicago area. Gray recently did an email survey with his customer base and has some really cool insights that he's offered to share with us. I think will be really valuable to those on the retail side. And then following that, I have Dave Rozek and Chris Lima here from Motorworks, which is a luxury retailer in the Chicagoland area. So we're going to get a chance to hear from them things that they're doing in response to COVID-19 concerns. And then finally, to wrap up that mastermind later, we have Herb Anderson from the Dealer Talk podcast. And Herb is going to lead a segment for us on 5 things that dealers can be focusing on right now in regards to their marketing strategy. Jay, let me cover some news items. New York is a disaster, and I want to talk into why. But Amazon and Whole Foods and Instacart workers staged a walkout yesterday. It was a sick-out strike over employee protections during the current pandemic. The organizer of an Amazon warehouse walked out Monday has been fired. And Instacart shoppers held a strike this week over a lack of essential protections provided to workers delivering groceries. We're going to start seeing a lot of this. And I have to say, I'm, cutting through, and I know you don't like to get into politics, but cutting through the political rhetoric that's out there. What I hear in the press is the United States is failing at responding to this. The government's failing at responding to this. We have more cases in the whole world, and everything's just going to, is just falling apart. And I think what is not being communicated, and I don't even know if people are thinking about this, is that if this virus was known as far back as December in China, and for all we know, it had been around even longer, and we didn't close our borders and start shutting things down until China. We stopped flights from China January 31st. Europe was shortly after that, and it wasn't all of Europe. Basically, for 3 months, if not more, this virus has been contaminating the United States, which is a mecca of international travel. It's a mecca. So now we were like, it's like a Trojan horse for us. And I don't think that's being put into the right contrast. And, where this is headed is basically like a really bad flu season times 2. It's like a really, really, really bad flu season. It's going to be around for a long time. And yet it is taking our country to its knees. And like I said a minute ago, I don't even know if we can't even control that. So you're here from the car shipping business, and I've been trying to keep up, and I know you're grabbing a lot of good intel from the retail side, but how would you put this into perspective on your side?
Wow. As far as, what's happening, it seems like so many things are always another committee hearing or investigation in process. We're always looking in the rearview mirror, and I don't know if it's just always going to be that way. And then, are we still in the phase where people don't believe this? I don't know. There might still be people left that don't believe it. Why we had to go through that phase, I don't even understand that. I don't get it. And so, the overlap for like logistics, trucking, transportation, car shipping, it's brutal because, so if you do believe it, then being out there in the elements as in transportation, that's brutal. How do you even conduct normal business? I'm afraid to go to the grocery store. I can't imagine what it's like to pick up and deliver cars right now. And then the deliverable of the car itself to the person then that has their own set of beliefs, I just can't even imagine. Which is why right now on April 1st, if you can stay home, like the government said stay home, but other than work, there's different things you can do. But if you can stay home instead of go work, which I know is also not really an exact real option for a lot of people, but yeah, maybe just don't go out there. There's not a lot of capacity. There's not good rates, and it could come. It could ruin your health status right now. So yeah, it's bad. It's grim.
Yeah. I was at Gray's dealership yesterday, And I think I was there for 3-4 hours doing some video shooting. And what's different about that was my first business adventure since NADA, which was February, Valentine's Day weekend. So since then, and I'm actually convinced I contracted coronavirus while I was in Vegas. I came back with the flu, and I was reading about the symptoms of coronavirus, and I had all the symptoms. So part of me wonders if I kind of already gotten through it and might not be contagious anymore, which would be relieving, but I wouldn't know unless I got tested. And there's no guarantee that once you get a virus, you'll never get it again. It's just less likely. But point is, what was evident to me was how many opportunities there are in a day to get yourself infected by diseases. And I think my take on all this is we've been living like this for all of our lives, and suddenly it's a big deal. Suddenly it's a big deal. Is it as big a deal as it is a big deal? But we have a responsibility as individuals to protect ourselves. And one of those things is, as we keep hearing, be mindful of where you put your hands and wash them all the time. But from grabbing your bank card out of your wallet, picking up your phone, how many of us sit there and eat with our hands and use our phone without we are vulnerable just by our nature. And this is going to, I think, maybe have a small impact on how we go about our day and protect ourselves. But this is a new, this is going to be around. This is going to be around. And we have to pick up the pieces that have fallen on the ground.
Yeah, and I'll say this.
I lost your audio.
Oh, check. Thanks. I'll say this is that, I didn't want to hear all the keyboard clattering, so that was me. I agree. It's kind of, during a time like this, I think we feel compelled to reference other really difficult times. Spanish flu, I've seen referenced, who talks about the Spanish flu? When's the last time anybody talked about the Spanish flu? It was, and I
think 50 million people died during that.
It was 100 years ago. And those are the kinds of numbers, even if this was 10 years ago, my gosh. We're lucky. We all get the same information almost right away. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Yeah. We can actually go home and be on the internet, so that's good. And, other than the toilet paper fiasco, which still I'm not exactly clear what that's all about.
I actually just I did my second TikTok on celebrating that I got paper towels and toilet paper from the drugstore. Because every time I went to the grocery store, the shelves would be wiped out. And I'm like, I'm going to run out at some point. But I was in Walgreens, and I had an opportunity to get that. Anyway.
Well, and I had heard somebody that has coronavirus said, I haven't even thought about how much toilet paper I've got. So there you go. And that's from, a coronavirus positive patient. I
like Terry Lancaster. Terry Lancaster always says, we're monkey-brained. And we are monkey-brained. Listen, I'm supposed to have a caller. Hopefully, she's going to dial in a little bit. Let me do a quick reorientation because folks have logged on here to the Zoom webinar. This is a Zoom webinar streamed live on our YouTube channel. It's the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. I got Jay Wurzberger here from the AutoTransport Intel, who's also streaming this live on his channel. I'm not monitoring your live feed because I got plenty to go, so curious about the chatter in there. Before we kind of evolve here, what are you gaining from participating with the auto retail side that's valuable to the car shipping side?
That's a great question too. The thing is about it's like walking into a hot tub. Takes a second to get used to it. What are we talking about? And I know this because when I talk about auto retail and dealers on AutoTransport Intel, sometimes it takes a minute for people to understand that this is an important thing to talk about. It's not just load boards and mobile apps and brokers and loads and rates and tire changing. That's a huge part of it. But the building the relationships with the shipper, that's where all the business comes from. If you don't understand the shipper and you're just hauling the cars, well, then no wonder you're complaining about the rates because you're not near the epicenter of the transaction, right? If you really want to grow a business, well, who's your customer, right? Build a business with the customer at the forefront of the thought, not how to do the if all you do is the logistics, well then you're the you're the maitre d' at the restaurant, or you're the guy that cleans the silverware. But if you want to understand the business, grow the business, and find new business, then you have to understand the customer. And the customer, in many cases, is a dealership. That's your customer. Who's buying and selling at the auto auction? The dealer. So if you don't think about dealers and talk about dealers and know how to talk to dealers, well then, I guess you're going to just be standing in line at the auction waiting for another car to move. And that's where a lot of guys find themselves, but they need that nudging to know, dude, go talk to the dealer. And sometimes then a car hauler says, okay, yeah, I think I'm ready to talk to a dealer. What do I do? Well, perfect. Now you're ready to talk to my business partner, Ty. We created CTS Business Coaching, and we teach owner-operators how to talk to shippers to get business. This is what the car dealer's thinking about. The floor plan, the interest. Well, no one said that before. What are you talking about? Well, this is important stuff. You got to know what's the customer's problem to know how to solve their problem to grow your business.
It's fair to say dealers are, I don't want to say the heart of any community, but definitely a centerpiece to any community, right? That's fair. I don't think you get much disagreement with that. I think I actually started to get really upset when we were talking about this, when states were cracking down and not permitting the sale of vehicles. And as I mentioned, and they retracted on that. And I don't think, did we figure out, did they all retract on that and permit it?
That's the question, isn't it? What is the status? And that's why we got to go to nada.org/coronavirus, because NADA is at the forefront of petitioning the president. And I don't think the White House has officially stated their position. And I think the problem, from what I've seen in the CDC, CISA.gov guidelines, is that when initially on March 16th, when the president and the White House communicated that auto retail is not essential business, but that auto supply, auto repair, and maintenance are, well, that set the stage for the states then that have created executive orders to follow suit, and they get to decide, and many of them have said, yeah, no, it's auto retail is non-essential. And really, okay, well then hand me your car keys. Clearly your car isn't essential. You can just walk to wherever you need to go from now on. We're good.
And yesterday when I was at Gray's dealership, Gray's going to be on in just a minute when we launch the mastermind, I was so delighted to see people in the showroom talking to salespeople about buying a vehicle. The service department was, had people coming and going, dropping off their cars, and they had all the measures in place to with the tape and the to keep your distance, and sanitizers and all that. It was just really cool to see. It was just great to see the dealership in operation, because it needs to be, because people need cars. There was a man that came in who had to be somewhere between 70 and 80. And by the way, I got Amy coming on in just a minute. Amy, I see you're dialed in. I'm going to turn your microphone on in just a minute. Amy's a Lyft driver here in Chicago who's agreed to come share some information with us about what's going on in her world. But it was great. There was a guy who was like somewhere between 70 and 80. He had on a mask because but he was there talking in the showroom to a salesperson. And I thought, here's a guy who fits the profile of doesn't want to get coronavirus, right? Does not want to get coronavirus, and really needs to be talking to a dealer about a car. Like, that's an urgent need. So for some reason, he needed to do that. And I found that fascinating. So let's do this.
And I want to say this. I want to clarify. I'm not saying we break shelter in place. I'm not saying we break stay at home. I think that's working. I think it's going to work. I think we're going to flatten the curve by doing that. But what I am saying, and I'm also not saying fill the showroom with people and have a concert, but I am saying that just as you can go to CVS, I think you should be able to buy a car.
Yes. Don't prohibit that, because we've already done enough destruction and damage. Amy, you're on the air. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Hey, she made it. Thank you so much for dialing in. So, as I said earlier, folks, Amy and I did a nice sit-down interview at the Chicago Auto Show early February. And if you think about it, Amy, I don't even think we were talking about coronavirus, right? I don't even think it was part of the conversation at all.
No, back then it was the marijuana carts giving everyone the respiratory infection. So.
Oh, the vapes.
Yeah,
yes.
Remember?
Oh yeah.
Now it's virus.
There was an impeachment going on, and people were dying from vapes, and then boom, all this happened. So, Amy, we just have a couple of minutes here. Thank you for getting up here. Just so you know, you are live on 2 different shows. Just so you know, we're streaming live on my YouTube channel for AutoConversion and on Jay's channel for AutoTransport Intel. So you are being broadcast multi-broadcast all over the world. So what
all over the world?
Yeah, I mean, technically this is international, you know, could be interplanetary for all I know.
Yeah.
And then folks, after we talk with Amy for a minute, we'll have Mike Phillips, Grace Scott, Chris and David and Herb are going to get on and get into some auto retail stuff. So, gentlemen, thanks for waiting in the wings as we get there. So, Amy, tell us in a nutshell, you know, what has really changed? What is really different for you right now as a Lyft driver, as a shared mobility driver, compared to 2 months ago?
Finances.
Because of fewer rides?
Literally. Way fewer rides. There's like nothing going on. So I'm not really sure, because there's people everywhere on the road. I don't know if they're just all like continuously going to the grocery store for some odd reason, although they never have before in their life. But there's a ton of people on the road, but no rides.
Well, I would imagine, like, I personally don't think I would want to get into a taxi, into a shared car. And
really?
you as the driver, I would imagine would be concerned as well. Do you not feel?
No.
You don't feel that
I'm
there's
not
a higher risk
concerned
for
at all.
yourself? Okay.
No, I'm a healthy person. I think that there's a high risk for people that have compromised immune systems. Yes, I think that they should definitely not be out and about until they know more about this or come up with a vaccine. But healthy, normal people, sometimes you don't even know you have it. It's like it's a virus, like a cold or a flu or any chicken pox. Remember, our parents used to give us chicken pox sleepovers, so we all get it at the same time and then never get it again. Yeah, so either they're going to lock us away forever until they can come up with a vaccine, or just let us go, because we're going to get it regardless. It's a virus. It's like inevitable.
So you're not concerned about getting it yourself, but what if have you had any senior citizens, hail a ride with you?
No. And that's their prerogative, I guess. I mean, they know the risk. I can't tell someone don't get in my car.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if somebody knows they're at risk, they know they're at risk and they're doing what they need to do. But I feel like normal, healthy people, we can be out and about. I don't know. I've been driving back and forth from the airport for months. I worked with primarily all Chinese massage therapists at one point that were coming in and out of China, like right when this was starting. I'm A-okay, so.
And
I'm just not sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm delighted to hear that you're not kind of buying into the fear to the fear frenzy of all this. I have a couple questions coming in for you from some of our viewers here, and I should add, because from what I understand of your circumstance, you actually rent the vehicle through Lyft's Hertz program, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have an even increased cost. That cost doesn't go down because there's fewer rides, right?
No, and I just lost my full-time job because of this virus. So, yeah,
you
it's
lost
hurting
it
me
because
big
of the virus. In what sense?
Yeah, because I had a cough, so they wouldn't let me come back. And then in the midst of me trying to get some kind of test that doesn't exist, or they don't want to use it on me or something, they found a reason to fire me because I used the gym after work hours or something.
Well, that's no good. You'll have to let us know who that is.
Yeah.
We'll go harass them. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all right. But I'm just saying, my point is can we put the world back together, please? Because, some of us really, really need this.
Yeah, we do. And unfortunately, I mean, and folks that are watching, feel free to disagree. I don't think they'll ever be back to any way that it was, at least not anytime soon. I think we have a new paradigm that's a permanent shift for a myriad of reasons. Amy, a couple of questions, and then we can let you go. One question is: have you shifted to make up the slack with food delivery or the new Amazon recommendation by Lyft?
No, because I rent. Wait, Lyft does one now?
With Amazon? That's the question. I don't actually. I'm not privy to that.
No, I rent through Lyft, so I'm not allowed to do anything else with any other company but Lyft, which is why I don't, or I would.
So you don't have a way to supplement using the rideshare. You don't have a way to supplement alternatives.
No, I was about to get a car, and then the world shut down.
Okay.
So I had to keep all that money.
How much does the cost of the rental increase with the reduction in rides? Or is it the cost stays the same?
They didn't. No, they extended the fee, so they're still charging you. But it had to be paid by Monday, so they were just taking it out of my debit account. So I pay $1,200 a month for a Hyundai Elantra.
And folks that are on the Zoom panel here, if you could use the Q&A feature, because I can't manage the chat and the Q&A.
Right.
And we're also getting down to the bottom of the hour, and I want to get rolling on our mastermind here. So these are good questions. I was told that yes, Lyft recommends drivers go to Amazon delivery. One final question: would you consider a rent-to-own option versus just always, paying the rental fee?
Yeah, I was about to buy a car. That's what I was saying. And also, I know Lyft suggests the drivers to do that if they're driving with their own vehicle. You sign a contract stating that you can't work with any other company with their car. I mean, I could if I used a different car, which I don't have. So that's kind of impossible. And I didn't need to. I had another full-time job that was fine. And then this happened. It was property management. They were freaking out. People aren't paying their rent, and they had to cut down, so they found a reason to let me go. Point blank. Cutthroat world we live in.
So you do need a second job. You can't count on Lyft as your full income.
I could, if the world wasn't shut down. Yeah, I could, actually. I could, in 10 hours, usually I can make like $220 to $250. And that pretty much pays the payment, and then the rest is mine. But there's nothing open. There's no restaurants, there's no bars, there's nothing. There's no release except to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I can't even believe it's like, this is what just like, I don't know. To each their own opinion, but.
Well, I like your perspective on things in the sense of, not buying into the media fear frenzy, because I think we need that level-headedness. We need to be cautious and mindful and protective of ourselves
Exactly.
We also
Stop
need
watching
to,
TV.
yeah, yeah, because we need to get the world back in order. Listen, Amy, I'm going to let you go because we're on a tight schedule here, and you've been up here with us for a good amount of time, and I appreciate it. Great talking with you again.
No problem.
Taking the time to share this. And just so you know, John, if you could put that link into the live web chat, one of our viewers who's asking questions left a link talking about Amazon delivery that you might want to look into.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
And
tell them thank you. Thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. And feel free to stay on if you want to listen to us talk about the auto retail business. But otherwise, go and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, it's beautiful. Did you guys get to go outside yet?
I'm in a studio with studio lights and a green screen, so I don't even know what the weather's like right now.
Oh, it's pretty. I hope you guys get out. All right, I'll let you go.
All right, thanks, Amy.
Okay.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, so that was Amy. She's a Chicagoland area Lyft driver, and you got to hear that. Thanks for your questions, folks, on that. I'm going to switch into our mastermind mode. Jay, did you want to add any color or commentary from that segment?
Let's see. Oh, let me unmute myself. Well, I don't think I have. It's interesting because we've talked about this. That I don't get into politics on my show, and etc. So what I would say is that obviously this is a national issue. And I think she kind of said it herself, to each his own. Everybody has their own point of view. It's fascinating how many points of view we have about a fact. So I think that's fascinating.
Mike, let's get your camera on. I think it's fascinating too. I really appreciate where she's coming from, that she's just like, no, get in my car. Let's go places. I mean, maybe she's throwing caution to the wind, maybe not, but I appreciate where she was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Phillips, let's get your camera going.
I think my camera's going.
Okay, good. Going? Yeah. God, man, there's so many moving parts here. That was cool. So welcome up here to the Mobility Mastermind.
Yeah. Thanks for the invitation, Ryan and Jay. Nice to meet you. And along with everybody else, we had a little conversation before. It's really good to connect with some other people in different facets of the industry.
Here's what I'm going to do.
I agree.
I'm going to ask all the panelists to go ahead and turn their cameras on because this is meant to be a panelist-like mastermind. Keep your microphones muted if you could, please.
Or else.
Just, let Mike do his thing. I don't think you can use the Q&A as a panelist, but if you're, John, I'm going to put your microphone on so you can talk, but let me check the chat here. So, Mike, give us your story. You're a GSM at independent dealer in Colorado Springs. First, the governor says you can't sell cars. That was about less than 2 weeks ago, if I recall. Yep. And then it's like you're going to furlough everybody. Then they came back and said you can sell cars, but then you have this whole DMV issue. So go.
It's been a roller coaster, man. It started out that they're like, hey, we're going to issue the stay-at-home order. But like many states, hey, service and parts is essential because people got to be able to get places and get fixed. And then they said, yeah, we're gonna keep auto dealers open. We were actually on the phone with my dealer is the VP of NIADA on the board of NIADA. So as you were mentioning, Jay, that NADA has a coronavirus hub. So does NIADA. If it's an independent dealer, it's COVID19.niada.com. So same deal to try and communicate. And I think that the information is very, very much similar. But so they came out about 2 weeks ago and said, and we were talking to the Secretary of Transportation here in Colorado. They said, yeah, the big thing is they want to minimize contact, 6-foot rule, sterilize everything, gave us really specific guidelines. So we enacted that, and we, as all good car dealers do, we're like, great, we're going to find the workaround. We got virtual video walkarounds. Let's do that. Gray and Herb and everybody that, like, you probably are doing the same things. Like, we're going to set up Zoom chats. We can do virtual delivery. We can do all this. And then literally 24 hours later, the governor comes out and says, oh no, showrooms can't be open. Can't have a showroom open. So we're like, well, that wasn't what you said a minute ago, was we had to follow this specific set of guidelines. Then, so of course, everybody here rises up. We were involved in a conference call with both CIADA, the Colorado Independent Auto Dealers, and CADA. We sat and listened in, and people were really frustrated. And so they're lobbying the governor's office and everything. And then he came back. So then the governor comes back literally another 12 hours later and says, no, you can do internet sales. You just can't do showroom sales. And we said, okay, well, what does that look like? Well, you just can't have physical contact with the customer. Oh, and by the way, the Colorado DMV needs a wedding signature on a bill of sale to validate the odometer. So no big deal. You just can't talk to anybody or have anything signed, but you can do internet sales. And we're like, how, where, like, okay, that's all good in theory. And then because that was frustrating, they put it back on the DMV. The DMV here, we actually just got a statement from them today that says, no, we can take a digital signature typed onto the original form for its bill of sale and powers of attorney. So in other words, if you can create the digital signature to print on their original form, then they can take it for the DMV, but we can still have no physical contact. There's no physical contact, no showroom can be open. And then the DMV, interestingly, yesterday, besides the statement saying, well, we can take some digital documents, but the powers of attorney and bills of sale, we can take a digital signature, print it onto our original triplicate piece, and that can be sent into the DMV. And the DMV will work by appointment for dealers or people only. But then when we had people trying to contact the DMV yesterday, locally here, I'm in Colorado Springs, and I know I'm moving really fast, so I hope I'm not losing anyone.
Great.
But just for respect for your audience's time too. Then the DMV, I was getting calls because I got my BDC all right here. My whole BDC is in the box, man. It's working right here. This is it. And so I'm getting calls. I got 3 calls yesterday from customers that said, hey, I'm trying to work through this with the DMV, and they told me to contact you as a dealer to issue an additional temporary permit. What am I, FedEx it to your house overnight? I mean, but 2 of them expired yesterday. So you've got all these different entities. Here's one of the biggest problems is allowing politicians to set these rules that 1, they don't understand, and 2, then they can put it on another agency. So they go, oh, go that way. And you're like, well, what the heck can I actually do? So as yesterday, our dealership made the decision to set everyone aside. Our governor's order goes till April 11th. So our company went into hibernation till April 11th, and we're taking care of our employees, and he's working through everything. We have several people working from home, some people working remote, but we're being very, very careful, very specific to call the governor's order. And I personally am calling people back to explain to them, hey, we want to sell you a car. We want to work with you. We cannot do it face to face. And one of the struggles we have, at least here locally in Colorado, it's not like the Carvanas of the world or some of these digital retailers. People are like, well, I still want to come and test drive the car, man. Why? And so they're mad at me or mad at the dealership going, why can't I test drive the car? And we're like, so we're in this weird predicament that everybody's going different directions. And the reality is yesterday I processed 24 leads. On Saturday, I processed my team. I still had some of them working remote at that time, processed 20 or more leads. On Friday, we set 28 appointments for virtual test drives. Just people that are like, I'm ready to go, but I got to see the car. So my salesmen are out walking around cars doing Zoom meetings. So the general public, like what Jay's saying, not only do they want cars, but there are people that need vehicles in this situation. And our state government is like, well, we can't really make a decision. So you guys figure it out. Good luck. And I'm like, yeah, if we could get a car salesperson in charge, trust me, we would be have a lot more ingenuity than probably is happening at a state level right now. Just my 2 cents, not to get political.
Let me point out, this is all in the last 2 weeks, right?
This is starting last Monday. This is within the last 7 days, Ryan. Literally every 24 hours, the rules changed.
You hear that, Jay?
So that was why.
It's nuts.
That was why our dealership
March 16th. March 16th was when the White House started down this road.
That was the White House. That was literally for the announcements for us. We got one announcement the 23rd, another the 24th, an executive order the 25th, an amended executive order the 26th, And then finally Friday, this is just Colorado. And we've stayed very much up on it because our dealer as well, he lobbies the White House for NIADA, himself, along with, several other people. I'm not saying it's like just him, but he's a participant in trying to help, so that things can be streamlined and continue to work. And it's just, it's all over. One of the things we found interesting is then the Denver mayor today. So here we are 7 days later, the Denver mayor has come out and said they're extending the stay-at-home order and the social distancing through April 30th as well, right? That's what they want to do in Denver. The problem with our governor, in my opinion, not to get political, we're on Jay's show still too, right? But the problem is our governor then political. The governor here follows what the mayors are saying. So instead of the mayors following what the governor says, he's like, oh, the Denver mayor did this. Yeah, we should do that. And so we're just waiting to see what happens next. In the meantime, I think a lot of the public carries a similar philosophy. I don't want to say attitude, but similar philosophy to your caller that you had, that they're like, look, man, I just want to work. I just want to do this. And to talk about what Jay's talking about, because now, it's like every one of us has become a resident COVID-19 expert of the auto industry all of a sudden. And to echo what Jay's saying is, it's like, you have many states that want people to, oh, it's okay to deliver to their house. I think that's more dangerous. In our showrooms, we can at least control the environment. We're spraying stuff down. We're doing that. If someone, and I'm just talking, at least, I'm not saying we couldn't do a lot of stuff digitally, but if somebody wants to actually test drive the car or to pick it up there, that's a more controlled environment than going to the random apartment complex 2 miles away and not knowing if it's actually the person that lives there, not knowing if, in a tough time that we're in, that somebody's going to get held up, not knowing if someone in that complex had coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
The grocery store 2 blocks from us, one of their workers got coronavirus, and so they had to put out a big statement the other day. So it's wild times.
That brings up a really good point. And I think when we talk to Dave and Chris from Motorworks, I think we'll be able to expand on that. Yeah. What I'd like to do here is get Gray's mic on, because Gray sent out an email.
Hashtag.
and I hope you're okay with me saying this. Gray sent out an email to just about 1,000 people in his database, and he's going to walk us through the questions, and it's going to, Gray, why don't you go through the questions and the numbers that you want to share, because it really sheds a lot of insight as to where people are right now.
Well, the real thought behind Ryan doing the survey isn't even just so much the data that came back. It's that all of us who's listening, who listen later, who's on the panel, we all live in different places, and everybody has a different frame of mind. I think the overall consensus is stay at home, don't spread the sickness. Our mayor here in Chicago is putting out all kinds of funny videos about stay at home. It saves lives. She shut down the beach. She shut down the lakefront. She shut down all the trails. Now there's memes of her everywhere. So everyone's kind of handling it a little bit differently. So what I wanted to do is I actually sent out a survey to my entire database, as if you're doing an e-blast of, it's a large database. And so I sent it out, and within 3 days, I had just shy of 900 responses. And the subject line was, we're here for you, or please give us 90 seconds of your time as we're here for you, right? And then it was just a very straightforward email. We're here for you during these trying times. We'd like to know how you want us to interact with you. Here's a small link. Click this, takes them to a SurveyMonkey survey. And then it was a very simple 5-question survey. And I did this because I've been pushing both of my stores on a digital front for a long time. And now, in order to really truly survive, we have to be digitized, and we have to kind of change the model a little bit. And Mike, I know you were saying, obviously coming to the showroom is going to be a much more controlled environment. It's safer for us and safer for our people. But I've gone ahead and put some precautionary measures in place so that we can do at-home deliveries, and we can even do at-home test drives if it gets to that point. So given the information from the survey, given your current situation, I'll start off with the very beginning of the survey. Kind of explains the situation that we've made some changes in our business practices, and we know that life has changed forever for everybody. And we want to make sure that we're interacting and engaging with you, our consumer and our audience, in a way that you're most comfortable with. And that's how it started off. It was not meant to be salesy or pushy by any means. So the first question was, given our current situation, our across the country, you could upgrade your vehicle from home, would you? And so 54% of people, no. The other 46%, roughly 21% said flat out yes. 26% said I'm not sure. Maybe I'd want to know more. So this whole online retailing at home, consumers don't know what the heck it is. We're yakking about it in all these webinars and to each other, and that this is what the consumer wants. This tells me consumers don't really
spot
know
on.
Digital retailing really is. So now I got to put content out there describing what digital retailing is and how you can shop online. This online shopping approach that dealers have never really done. I mean, I can get a 2-ton piece of metal delivered to my door. So that's what this tells me. The next one was kind of a no-brainer. If you needed service for your vehicle, would you enjoy a pickup and delivery service for service? Now, we've got the 2 Honda stores. We're not luxury. And this can be tied in with video conferencing to go over any additional findings or recommendations. Well, 65% of people said yes, 8% said no, and 27% said I'll bring it in myself. So there's still people, just like yesterday, Ryan, you saw in the showroom, where people are comfortable coming in. And I can say that everybody in our waiting area absolutely practiced social distancing. They utilized the hand sanitizer on site. We had Lysol, we had disinfecting wipes, and they had almost like a look of relief when they would see me walk around or somebody else walk around and give a quick spray down or a wipe down of public areas. So this tells me we need to implement some kind of delivery and pickup, especially in our backyard. It's a very geriatric, older demographic. So we did a video, Ryan, yesterday talking about contactless pickup and delivery for service. I actually went on with DocuSign and I digitized our service loaner agreement, and we're working on hammering out the process to where we can pick up your vehicle, drop off a loaner. Everything's been pre-signed and arranged before we get there. Take your car, bring it back, pick up our loaner, and obviously sanitation processes along the way, whether that's Lysoling it, whether it's steering wheel covers, whatever it might be. And if any dealers are listening to this, get on and get your steering wheel covers now, because they are hard to find. And I just ordered a couple thousand just for peace of mind for the consumers. It's almost like rubber gloves and masks. You're not gonna be able to find them next week.
Steering wheel covers.
Steering wheel covers, plastic for your seats. The idea behind the steering wheel cover is that with gloves,
you're talking about like disposable ones,
not
recyclable.
Yeah. Okay. Disposable plastic, kind of like just with the elastic band. If you can't find those, shower caps work as well. But it's, again, the idea is that we're trying to reach our consumers in a state of uncomfort to make them feel more comfortable. We're following best practices by sanitizing them, eliminating or avoiding direct contact with their car as a provider and them as the consumer. The next question went into the digital retailing piece. And it was, if a tool was present on our website to buy your next vehicle, would you feel comfortable working the deal and negotiating online? Well, geez, what does that mean? So, of course, I went into further explanation. This includes providing trade information with pictures and video, filling out an online credit application, and selecting any options that you'd like to protect your investment. These options could be protection and service packages, extended warranties, gap insurance, and more. Nothing would be final or submitted to the banks without a call or video conference with our finance manager and your explicit approval. Again, highlighting what does this really mean for the consumer. And 37%, and as the survey went on, it kind of split up. It was about a third of yes, no, and again, I'd want to play with it. Just kind of see what this retailing thing is all about with the transparency. Which led to the next question was, if you were undecided on a trim or model, would a video walk around or video test drive be helpful to assist you in your selection? And I expected this. About 50% said, I need to physically drive the car. Of course you do. It's an investment. It's a long-term play. Most people don't get them for less than a year. 37% said yes. And I've seen that number actually increase as time has gone by since the original survey was released. And 12% said no. So I need to physically drive my car. Yes, video walkarounds are helpful. So now every lead that comes in starting next week, we're going to be doing video walkarounds as a response to all of our customers. And then if you've narrowed your selection down to one or two choices, would an at-home test drive allow you the ability to make a decision and feel more comfortable in purchasing a vehicle during these times? And again, this is all precedent with the current times in the situation. Then 58% said yes. 12% said flat out no. And then 30% said I just come to the dealership. So again, what that told me by surveying my database and my market, and I've got another survey out for my other store, and those answers vary a little bit slightly, is I need to implement delivery and pickup service for service. I need to consider the video walk around and video test drive option for those who aren't really comfortable leaving their house. And then I also need to do some sort of at-home test drives. And so starting next week, we'll be playing around with that model a little bit, because just like the federal government recommended, Illinois is on shelter in place for the next 30 days. So we have nothing but time to try this out and see how it works.
How many total people responded?
900.
900?
840 responded within 3 days.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you had surveyed that many people, but that's how many people have responded.
So, but nine, at the end of the day, 840 people out of my database in 3 days.
That's awesome.
I'll take it all day.
Heck yeah.
I see some of these marketing companies coming out with these great statistics after surveying 700 random people. Okay, great. That's random people all across the country. If you're in Texas, it's barely unaffected, right? Chicago, we're about to be the next hotspot, where our convention center is being turned into a 3,000 bed hospital. I want to know what my database feels. That's why it's more important for me to do that versus take these national surveys that are out.
Hey, can I ask a question, Ryan? I jump in here. I think that's really good. I'd be interested to see, Gray, if you could share that. I mean, just a question. I know you ran through them here, but actually in a typed format, because I've done similar, and I think we've seen similar things. For us, it's not so much being able to serve the customer where they're at. It's getting a straight answer so that we're staying within guidelines, serving the customer the right way, and everything else. So I think that's great. That's really impressive, man.
Yeah, just reach out to me and either shoot me a note on LinkedIn or something. I'll send you the link, and you can just copy and paste the questions if you want. That's fine.
So, Gray, I got a question. Do you think that car dealers kind of jumped the gun with furloughing people, firing people, whatever it is, laying them off, and not preparing for this the right way? I mean, all these vendors kind of hit us with all these digital retailing you should be using. But right now, our website activity is still decent. Our leads are up, from what we thought they were going to be. And it really seems like, to me, people still want to buy cars and they still want to come and see us, even though we're by appointment only.
That's a double-edged sword, because my business entrepreneurial hat says, no, it was the right decision. Now, was it the right decision? I don't want to get into what we did personally here, but a layoff,
just groups in general,
layoff versus furlough. I think that it's important that whatever decision you decide to do as a business, it's important. And what was said on the State of Automotive prior to this one is take care of your people, your people, your people, your people. These people have served dealers for short term to 20 plus years, 30 years. We're in a health pandemic. The last thing you want to do is cut off their insurance, lay them off with no insurance while they're trying to get through this. I think that's a horrible idea. I think if the community were to find out, I don't think they'd react very positively. So first, I think dealers should take care of the people. Make sure that they have health insurance. Make sure that they have the things that they need in that perspective. Now, from a business side, I don't think we need 12 salespeople. I don't think I need 4 or 5 BDC reps. Do we really need 8 full-time or 10, 12, 13 journeymen? We need just a handful. What I can tell you, though, is after yesterday and Ryan happened to see the kind of the action in the showroom, we have decided to bring on a second and possibly a third salesperson. The problem that we have right now is these salespeople are making more on unemployment than they will coming back, because we might have a hot day or two, and then we might be dead for 3 days, right? So on unemployment, they're making quite a bit of money, plus the additional $600, especially if they have children. So now it's who's willing to come back and take that risk of, you may make more, you may make less, but at least you get back on the health insurance. So it's an interesting conversation, but I think reducing the workforce was something you had to do to preserve the business for the short term. But I do believe that as people become more and more cooped up, and they're in their heads, they're thinking, I've been in my house for 3 weeks. I have no symptoms and I haven't left. I've had food delivered to my door and I'm completely safe to go out. This dealership's telling me that this business is doing CDC best practices. They put out videos, and ideally what I'd like is to get some reviews from people who've come to my dealership saying, wow, I was impressed. I saw them, sanitizing and thoroughly felt comfortable and safe my entire visit. I think people will eventually in the next couple of weeks start coming out, because you're just going to be so tired of being cooped up for so long.
Gentlemen, I'm going to butt in here because I want to prompt Chris to pop his camera on, because we're kind of segueing into
if Chris is in a meeting, if he can't make it, I'll discuss it for him.
But what you said, David, I was shocked. So I will tell you, here in Chicagoland in Illinois, things went to a screeching halt like overnight. We're talking 50% web traffic drops, leads down to trickles, 2, 3, 4s. Over the last week, our leads have increased back, not back to normal, but back to at least something that keeps somebody busy in the BDC. Over the last 3 days, we had about 28 leads per store, which was nice. Gives you something to work on. So people are definitely inquiring. But to echo what I've been saying on a lot of these LinkedIn and a lot of these responses is people are shopping, but that doesn't mean they're buying yet.
Right.
You know, David, one of the things, like when you're talking about web traffic, that's the thing for us too. Our web traffic, we saw an initial hit, but I mean, we're still up there. We have 2,400 unique visitors a week still looking at cars. And so, you know, the hard part, like what Gray was saying, there's a difficulty in offering a blanket response because each state is almost operating as their own unique little country within the United States right now. Right. Everybody's got their own rules. So like for us, we're very entrepreneurial. We'd stay open and keep rocking, but to stay within our state guidelines and behind the scenes, Ryan and I talked about this. Our dealer, and I've been with him for 17 years, is phenomenal. And so he's gone out of his way. We inched along until we could get a definitive answer from our local government. And then, you know, he is making sure, like what you were saying, as far as, you know, furloughing people, they're making sure that everybody's got their health insurance intact and all of the necessities. So nobody's just hung out to dry, but we're following to the letter of what our state guidelines say. And then like you, David, we're still seeing a ton of traffic. Like I said, I'm working from home communicating with people so the customer doesn't get dropped on their head.
Right.
You know, and they're like, oh, these guys are jerks. They didn't respond. And it's like, you know, and there are still some dealers that are operating here. They've gone rogue. That's their decision. We're not going to tell them how to operate. And so it's,
you know, it's interesting, Mike. And I have to tell you, we kind of did a similar thing where initially, actually, our dealership was going to close. We're going to close for 2 full weeks, no service, no sales. I put a lot of thought into it. And I wrote an email to both our owner and his son and just kind of laid out what you said. Are we going to let our customers whose leads sit in our bucket sit for 2 weeks unresponded to? Customers, loyal customers wanting to know, you know, how can we help them? And so we wound up running with a very skeleton crew just because we also have to. You know, Honda's a very family car, and we have Honda, Acura, Subaru, and Volkswagen. So we've got a lot of responders, medical professionals that are going to need to service their vehicle. You know, for us, we are allowed to sell, which is nice, but you know, it was a tough call for them to stay open. But like you said, we too are seeing a steady. We had the drop. Now we plateaued as far as web traffic, and leads are still kind of up and down. Although I do expect here in Illinois that leads will actually drop a little bit more as people possibly become a little bit more scared or concerned because we haven't even hit our peak. And so we're expecting, you know, tens of thousands of cases in the next 14 days or even 10 days. Chicago's about to be the next hotspot. And so when you think of that, it's going to have a direct impact, especially for my stores being so close to the city. I'll tell you, my store that's further from the city, right on the Wisconsin border, these guys are doing great. They're selling 3-4 cars a day. If they can maintain that, they'll somewhat stay upright a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to, we're at the top of the hour here. And I got 2 more segments we really want to get through.
Yeah, where's Herb at?
And Herb, Herb, I got to get you in this conversation. But Jay, give us let's do a check-in with AutoTransport Intel. What do things look like on your side of the multicast?
Oh, I think that we got a few. Some of my regular fans are here and checking in, saying hello. And they like to give me updates because that's a big part of what I try to do at AutoTransport Intel is keep the finger on the pulse. And Silver Mint says he just did a 10-mile run, which, by the way, 10-mile run. Wow, dude.
Get it.
Awesome. Nice work.
That is.
I drove 10 miles once.
I don't know that I've ever done a 10-mile run.
Yeah. I think maybe a 10-minute run.
Oh my gosh. And
I like that. 10 minutes.
He saw 3 car carriers where he would have seen 3 every quarter mile. And I believe that. The sense that I get from a lot of carriers is that they're nervous if they are allowed to be running There's less loads. And what's really frustrating is that if there's less loads and less happening, you'd think rates would go up. And I still haven't seen any kind of incredible rate increase. That is carrier rate, okay, the rate to the carrier, which is obviously what the haulers are focused on, because that's going to cover their expenses and put money in their pocket. Anyways, yeah, this is springtime, and this is when capacity and rates go up, and that's not happening. So I can definitely appreciate, I think the favorite thing that Amy said was that I just want the world to go back to normal. And that is across the board. If there's one thing we all agree on, it's we all want things to go back to normal.
Yeah, but what is that?
100%. I think if any of us have kids, we all love them. But I got to tell you, after a few weeks of out of school every single day, life has changed.
And Herb, you were going to say?
Yeah, like what is that indicative in your opinion of what's happening? I mean, does that mean that people are not buying cars online? You know what I mean? Like, because definitely there's no auction, like the auction activity has slowed down, right?
Right. Well, okay, yeah. Right. So, okay, here's what's happening in car shipping is it's kind of like everybody else, now you go clean the garage. So the cars that were sitting that the fleets couldn't get to, because rail yards, I mean, you're talking hundreds, thousands of cars. So they're clearing out cars, getting those cars moved that didn't get moved before. Just on my show, I was live the other day, and finally an auction car that's been sitting there was getting picked up. So people are picking up the leftovers and getting those things done. But yeah, what happens when that's done?
Or the other thing to consider is as prices drop, and dealers are holding right now, but as prices drop and we go into buying mode, how is that going to impact the, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing.
Let's get together and buy it once.
Right. Then there's going to be this explosion. Here's the big question. When the capacity explosion finally happens, will rates go back up? I doubt it. Rates never seem to go back up for carriers. This is one of their biggest gripes. And again, this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot. Who's worried about what the carrier gets paid? Well, let me tell you, the carrier is, right? Because that's his business. You know how expensive it is to run a truck? What's funny is when I say these things, you think like I'd have hundreds of truckers behind me going, yeah. No, that's not happening either. So I don't exactly know why I bother.
Yeah, it's definitely times, man, for sure.
It is. I don't know. But yeah, we all want the world back. And what's interesting is let's say we could have the world back. Let's say we could turn it back to February 2020. Are we happy?
Well, as entrepreneurs and dealers, we're never happy. We always want more.
If we're turning the clock back, I'm going back to the 80s. That's just
Now there we see. That's the thing. If we really could have our druthers, it's not February 2020.
Hey Ryan, which segment do we start talking about conspiracy theories? I was just curious.
Yeah, that's going to be that's going to be the offline after party.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to play the video that Dave gave me from his dealership at Motorworks. Dave, do you want to introduce the video here?
Sure. So we're talking a little bit as a group with different responses that we could have, but go ahead and play the video, Ryan, and then I'll talk about it. This is just something we're sending in our emails to our customers and have on our website, just discussing what we do to be socially responsible, and still being open, and for our sales staff, our customers, our community, especially our service customers.
Here at Motorworks, we reset our focus to our Barrington location and, most importantly, our community, the place where it all began. In response to COVID-19, we are taking the measures necessary to ensure people can safely purchase or service their vehicle through limiting dealership foot traffic. Here are just a few ways we're doing our part in flattening the curve. Over the phone and virtual meetings and discussing your future vehicle. At-home test drives, finalizing all paperwork on our end so you never have to step foot into the dealership. We are also encouraging similar initiatives for vehicles needing to be serviced. This includes social distancing drop-off and enhanced cleaning services when returning service vehicles. We want to thank our customers for their constant loyalty and support during these unprecedented times. We will all get through this together and will become a stronger community as a result.
Good video.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk about the kind of the production process of that. Let me get this fixes here.
Oh, so
how much of that footage did you already have, and how much of it was done for that?
We had a lot of that already had, because they'd started discussing this weeks ago, even prior to. And again, I recently just started with Motorworks. I got laid off at a dealership end of last month, and Motorworks hired me pretty much the next day. So that being said, they started talking about it then, about gathering different information, different processes. And that video was put together yesterday in general. The voiceover was done last night at about 5 o'clock.
Exactly. The voiceover was the last piece. That's what makes it so relevant. Yeah.
And then this morning we had another video shot where it showed us fogging the outside of the vehicles. You know, we have an ozone machine. We have all kinds of other things that we do for vehicles to make them safe for our employees as well as our customers. We also shot a piece on, you know, showing us picking up a customer's car, showing us doing a virtual test drive. So that video will be adjusted probably half a dozen times over the next 10 days. Mm-hmm. And we'll make a 30-second spot, a 15-second spot, as well as, you know, that's a minute 4-second spot. The original spot that we did was about 1 minute and 20 seconds. We condensed it down. But keep in mind, as a dealer, when you're getting your social message out to your community, you need to look at 30-second spots for YouTube pre-roll. You need to do a minute spot for Facebook and Instagram. It's really important right now that you have the right format and that you can communicate in the right way. And video is one of our best ways to communicate with people, especially with our email blast on our websites. If you're going to use OTT, so, you know, if you're going to use the over-the-top networks, which is kind of like your Hulus and your YouTube TVs and hitting all the data streaming, you know, platforms. But right now we're open by appointment only for sales. You know, service, it's really important to get the message out there, let people know what you're doing, how you're keeping it a safe environment. We're practicing social distancing. We're doing everything to make it easy for you. And what we're finding is that we're understaffed now. You know, we kind of furloughed and kind of help people. You know, we kind of help people and said, hey, we're going to help getting these people back. But because business took a crap and initially it just all shut down on us. So like Gray, I mean, I get it. And it was the responsible thing to do from a business standpoint. Overall, right now, we're experiencing, hey, we need to go back the other way. Unfortunately, it is changing day by day. So who knows what could happen next week. But right now, you know, we're very fortunate to be open by sales, by appointment only for sales. But I will caution a lot of dealers in Illinois is that there are a lot of people getting fined. And there are a lot of undercover investigators just trying to knock on the door to come in. And you can't let these people in. You have to tell them that they need to schedule an appointment. And we need to try to do things digitally. It is possible to do virtual test drives, whether you got to meet them in a parking lot, at their home, wherever. I would say pick a neutral spot, not necessarily always trying to take it to some apartment building that's a couple blocks away for the safety of our own people. And I would say that maybe we even have to send 2 people, you know, someone to go and be there with the other person in a separate vehicle, because we are going into kind of dangerous territories. We never know what could happen to our employees. And I really kind of feel with our salespeople of, you know, do you go to someone's house and they're infected? I mean, we just don't know right now. And I do agree that the best place to do business is with at our own dealerships, and that we can control the environment. So I agree with Gray. Gray's spraying his stuff down in the background. Thanks, Gray, for the comedy break up there.
That's
I'm
fantastic.
going to stop talking.
Sorry, I have to get out and get my kids and stuff, so I'm just trying to
do your thing, Gray.
You out of here, Gray?
I was going to say a proper goodbye once David was finished, but
okay.
Since he called out the Lysol that I was doing, guys, I apologize to Ron. It was a pleasure chatting, though.
Thank you, Gray, for getting up there.
Nice to meet you, Gray. Thank you.
And this applies to everybody. I know I'm committed to this for till the end here. You know, we started at 1:30, did our meet and greet, Jay took us live on AutoTransport Intel Live. Then we launched a show here on my YouTube. We're going through all these different segments. I want to welcome John Pasamato and John Robertson, who are logged here on the Zoom as well. Gentlemen, if you want to ask questions, just raise your hand and I can turn on your audio to do so.
Hey, Ryan.
Yes,
so one
yes,
of the
sir.
things with gray spraying the Lysol, here's what I see coming down the pipeline. And you may think it's comic relief, but I'm telling you, just wait. You're going to see the TV commercials that says, during the COVID-19 outbreak, were you exposed to massive amounts of Lysol? Call. And attorneys are going to pop up, man. It's coming.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Did you see Jay's face? He was like, I hadn't even thought about that.
Did you buy the wrong mask?
At the end of every money trail is an attorney.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Were you offered the wrong mask during the COVID-19 outbreak?
Totally.
Oh, here it comes.
We should just go ahead and shoot it and get that out of the way.
Yeah. You can do it here. Ryan, you can sell that.
Pre-make them. I like that idea. Hey, real quick, folks that are on the live chat, thanks for being here. I know Micah was up there and a couple have hopped up here in the Zoom. If you're on the Zoom, still use the live chat on the stream to interact with people. But if you want to ask a question, either raise your hand or use the Q&A function. For those that are on the live stream, if you want to be on the Zoom, I sent a link so you can get registered and hop up here. Herb, you got to be liking that video you saw from Dave. Are you working on videos like that right now as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, I think the main thing right now from a marketing standpoint is we got to refocus our message, right? Because what we had, our message 3 weeks ago can't be the same. And unfortunately, as I do deep dives and I look at other websites and other dealers, it's funny how a lot of them, you go to the website and they're just treating it like it's the same thing. Like there's nothing there to address the concerns or the situation. And you know, that's just a miss. Yeah, for sure.
You say a lot of dealer sites that you're visiting have no messaging.
Yeah, they haven't put something like, for what I'm telling my stores to do, which is one of the ones that I had sent over to you to display, was you know, a modal, right? So as customers go straight to the website, this modal pops up with a message that drives them to a landing page that talks to them about the 3 specific areas, right? Parts, service, and sales. And I would structure service, parts, and sales. It's not like, hey, come buy my car, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, you have vehicle needs still under this situation. You have repairs, or, you know, you want to make sure that your car is in tip-top shape or whatever, you know, bring it to the dealership. And these are the things that we're doing or we're willing to do now in this climate to kind of address your concerns, right? Because there are a lot of people that are concerned. They're concerned to leave the house. They're concerned to be in contact with other people, but that doesn't mean that those needs don't exist. That doesn't mean isn't going to expire. That doesn't mean that you know, that car that's leaking oil or whatever doesn't need to get looked at. So yeah, I mean,
well, I think from all of my conversations, and this isn't an absolute, because I've had some dealers say, no, traffic is down on my site significantly. I've seen reports that say service and parts traffic is up and sales traffic's down, and I've heard the opposite of that. So, you know, I think every dealer is being affected in their own unique way, and it's very geographically based. The state you're in has a lot to do with what you're experiencing as a dealer, as Mike shared, rural versus urban, and I think Gray said, Chicago is expected to be the next hotspot for the virus. So it is unique from dealer to dealer, and as Dave alluded to, and as you're saying, Herb, your messaging has to speak. You cannot assume that everybody out there understands their options, right? You can't assume. There are probably plenty of people that are thinking, I need to fix my car, but there's no way I can get it fixed right now. I'm sure there's people thinking that.
I think the problem is, Brian, and I'm sorry to interrupt, is that people didn't battle plan for this, right? Because they weren't optimized to start with. You know, a lot of people don't realize that most people start their search on where? They Google you. So they go to your Google My Business page, and the first thing there they see is that you're either open or you're closed or you have different hours. Now, Google's got a little delay going on right now because of their staff being short and updating things, but they have this little spot on the back of Google My Business and it asks you, it'll say, you know, do you have different hours because of the COVID? And you can put your stuff there and you can update that. But because a lot of people didn't update that, what happened is some dealers actually went in their Google My Business and they just marked closed right now because they shut their doors.
Oh, goodness.
And they didn't put a response in there. So if 70% of our traffic, let's say, hit this page, and that's just a hypothetical number, but let's say these people come and they hit this page and you don't have information on there. And then you scroll down the page and there's no ad there saying that, hey, we have different hours. We're open by appointment only. So, you know, if there's not something to reassure people in here as they're doing this on their phone, because, you know, we as dealers, we fall in love with looking at our PC or our Macs or whatever it is. And we think that's how the customer sees us. They see us on a phone. Most of our people search by voice, they search by their phone, and you have to give them the experience during this situation that matches what we're doing right now. So they don't know, they're uncertain. They're afraid. But if we're not telling them, hey, we're open by appointment, service still open. If you need something, just call us. We're here. We're in this together.
That's a great point, David, because here's the other thing, guys. And we were just having this conversation prior to you guys joining, but there's this understanding, or not this understanding, but there's this thought that the website is your virtual showroom. And to a certain point, I agree with that because your inventory is on there. But more than that, your website is your virtual salesperson, right? And that website needs to answer every single question that a potential buyer could have. Every single question. If that customer wants shipping options, that should be on your website. If that customer wants to see a video, that should be on the website. If that customer wants to get a text with information on the car and more stuff, that should be on the website. In this particular climate, if they want to know what options are available for them to purchase a car during this situation that we're in, that information should all be displayed on the website. The customer should never have a question that the website doesn't answer. And if we start to look our websites in that way, imagine all, we could get to a point where the customer never even has to leave the site.
Is that realistic?
Right there.
Is it realistic for a dealer to really have every piece of information?
I think it is if we think about it that way, right? If we think about it that way. But, to David's point, and to expand on it a little bit, we get used to seeing our website and we get used to doing the same thing over and over again. And it's very hard for dealers to put themselves in the positions of the customer, right? That's a one time of an experience. It's once in a lifetime sort of a thing. No, people are not buying cars every day. The same person isn't buying a car every single day. So, and that's, I think that I hope that this addresses that, because we talked about website activity, and although in some cases or the majority of cases we may see traffic is up, are we looking at the quality of that traffic on our Google Analytics? Are we seeing because people are not out, there's no tire kickers right now, right? People that, for the most part, people that go to the dealership and are risking to be there in person are there to buy the car, right? So are we measuring that to see the quality of that activity? Because it serves no purpose to have a bunch of activity on the website that isn't really, good activity.
Well, you got to look at, you have to look at what are the conversions, what are the conversations that are created. I agree with a lot of things that you're saying. For us, where we're doing that temporary deal, and I handle all our Google My Business stuff, I agree with you. I think, David, you had a really, really good point. Because there is a spot to click right on that says the COVID-19 post. You know what I mean? If you go on there and update that stuff, backtracking a little bit, and CKL on the feed over in Ryan's chat is saying, well, how do people find the website? Well, they go to Google or other places.
Or I think you might even mean, how do they find the information that you've created for them?
Well, it'll show up on the search results page if it's put in there properly in most cases. For us, we were really deliberate when we made this decision, because this is a tough decision. We were deliberate that we said, we're not going to change the hours and we're not going to change our website, because we still want people contacting us. But again, part of our philosophy, and not saying that it's right for everyone, is if somebody tries to call, communicate with us, do any of that stuff, they can get that information on Google. They can get that info. Certainly we have it posted up in the dealership. But there's also a certain stigma that's associated with that. This dealership, and we're fine. Like, we're a good operating dealer. Everything's in a good position for us. So it was a really tough decision to make. But when they're searching for us, when they're looking for those things, they can get to our website, they can do all the stuff. If they looked at our website to interact with us, they're going to assume kind of everything's status quo. So the first thing, if they try and contact us, they call us, they get me. They submit a lead, they get me. They do all, so we went in there with a very deliberate, okay, who's going to answer this? How are we, so we had to have that plan in place was who's going to handle this when it gets to that point. The part that I love the thoughts, Herb, but I disagree a little bit that the website should be able to answer every question. And just from my viewpoint, it's like, if somebody has a question, I want to be able to control that narrative a little bit and have a conversation with them, and are there a certain amount of people that are saying, well, I can't get that answered, so I'm not going to submit a lead or start that conversation? Sure. But there's just as many people, what's the measurement? And so I think you bring a really valuable point there, that it's like, well, what's the quality of the traffic? What are the conversions? There's a lot more to it that you have to look at than just simply saying, hey, we got a whole bunch of hits, so everything must be just fine, So.
Well, I think something we're all faced with, let me make sure my microphone's on, is that...
It is.
Thank you. Is that we're all faced with the fact that we have to somehow always be available virtually, whether it's us or an assistant or a virtual assistant, right? There's different forms of that, because when just like Amazon's got us thinking everything gets here tomorrow.
There we go.
Although suddenly we've
not right now.
Exactly. We have a little bit of reality. How about that? We got a little bit of reality back when it comes to shipping, which is interesting. But those businesses that don't have some form of virtual assistant mobile ready are,
well, but think about that.
Like knocking on a door, nobody answers. Okay, well, I'm going to go to the next door.
Well, think about it that way, right? From that perspective, and maybe not because here's the other thing. When we talk about these things, we forget that we are in a generational shift. Like, there's still people within our age group and a little bit older that are never going to buy a car online, truly, right? Because we want to touch and feel a car and all that stuff, right?
That's right.
But my kids, for example, that are growing up in the Amazon age and stuff, I could see them buying wanting to do the whole process online just because they've grown up with the click, right? When you think about Amazon, how many times do you go on Amazon and look for a product and have to dial and call somebody to ask a question? You know what I mean? Everything that you could possibly think, reviews, videos, all that stuff is there. And I know we're talking about cars. It's a bigger item. I get all that.
Yeah.
And like I said, me personally, I would never buy a car online. I'd just never do it.
I'm with you.
I want to throw an analogy in there, with tech support. I like live chat tech support. I like it. And it's handy. But there are some times where I need to get that person on the phone. Like I can't even, like, live chat's just not going to work. And I cannot stand it when you have tech companies that don't offer a phone line, right? And it's not even an option. Like, I don't even want to use your software. If there ever comes a time where I need to talk to someone and I can't, I don't like your software anymore. Yeah. And I think cars are in the same boat, right? We should have, we definitely want to cater to the customer's needs, but there comes a point in time where that buyer, that consumer wants their handheld or wants that human interaction. It's still got to be there.
Well, and I think there's a difference too between new and used cars. Because several of my friends are, I have a really good friend. He's the GSM of the Honda store here in town. And he's like, yeah, man. He goes, all we're selling is new cars. We're selling new Hondas. But if I order a new Honda, like, I'm getting a new Honda. There's a warranty in place. Like, what you're getting out of the box, out of the wrapper. Mm-hmm. If you're ordering a new BMW from David, from his store, like, I know I have an idea of what I'm getting. Maybe I've researched it. Where for us, it's all used cars. I'm always going to have questions that people, and they want a perceptual view of the car. Like, well, what's your opinion? Would you buy this car? What's the interior color? Is it really black or is it gray? Because I can't tell exactly from the picture. I mean, you get these silly little, connective pieces that it's like, because it's a used car. I always use this analogy and it's super cheesy, but when people are like, well, I want to look at this particular used car. And I'm like, I get it, man. They're like snowflakes. No two are alike. So let's talk about, when we go out and we talk about it and we look at it and we can do a virtual tour, but people still want to know, how does that car pull to the right or left? They're not getting a brand new product. So again, that's maybe a little bit why our perspectives may not totally coincide. Because I agree with you on a lot of stuff, and we've talked, behind the scenes on a lot of Ryan stuff. It's just that's why it's so unique. Each dealership, each transport company. For Jay, like you're saying, hey, we don't know if we're operating within the guidelines or not. Well, it depends. If you're in Oklahoma, you might be, but when you drive through Colorado, you might be hosed to be able to get to Utah. So it's like, do I have to take the long way? I mean, there's so many questions right now.
Yeah.
And I also want to let you guys key into something that a friend of mine's store went through, is that I kind of gave him some suggestions that, you should put a banner on your website talking about your hours, a pop-up, you should do a video. So he went down the path of doing all this, but then he realized that his dealership, kind of getting back what we were talking about with the digital drivers and things, his dealership couldn't function that way, that they couldn't do business because they didn't even know how to operate through their digital drivers to give the experience of, hey, you can buy a car online. So right now, a lot of dealers are realizing that they're not in a position. I'm just very blessed and fortunate that the group I work for coming aboard, they were already kind of in this process. They have this one and only process where it's one salesman, one price, and try to get people in and out of there in an hour. So they're used to communicating with customers and telling them, hey, just go online and fill out this form on your trade appraisal. Go out this and fill out this form and do your credit app. And people actually pick the car they want. And we kind of do most of their paperwork online up front so that we can take them down the funnel and we can keep, true to our word and be kind of impeccable to our word of getting them in and out in an hour. You're not going to meeting with a finance manager because you deal with one person. Now, that's not the approach in all of our tops, but I think that's what's kind of prepared us a little bit better with helping our customers in our community. But I think a lot of dealers out there, they weren't ready for this. And I just, we could have this great game plan for everybody right now, and everybody's playing damage control. Every vendor's going, hey, free digital retailing. Well, it's great, but how are you going to train these people in 30 days on it? It takes people 6 months, 9 months to figure it out.
It does. I have a real quick, you guys, hold on. Sorry, Herb. I want to throw a question at you, but I also have questions coming in, and I want to acknowledge people on the live feed and here on the Zoom. So John Pasamato, thanks for all your great questions today. He's leaving. He's been putting a lot of questions out for us. So thank you, John. We'll see you next week on the Mobility Mastermind. He'll be a panelist next week. John Robertson, I see your hand up that you want to ask a question. So I'm going to turn your mic on in just 1 second and let you ask. The question I wanted to throw out to Herb and Dave, and really the three of you here, the question I want to ask, get your opinion is, can you make marketing to set the precedent of where you need your operation to be? Or do you need to get your people and your operation to the point and have your marketing reflect that?
Yes.
Yeah, there's always this
like Dave said, we can't do these things, but can you just make the video that says you do and then make sure you deliver?
Why is there
that's what happens. Oh man.
Why is there the misconception that marketing doesn't impact processes? I've never understood that. Like, when I was a vendor at AutoTrader and with Cox, they always used to say like, hey, it's not, this is the widget. We don't manage your processes. Like there's a lot of things like digital retailing that goes hand. You can't just put a widget on a website for digital retailing and be like, okay, let's go sell cars now. Magic. That directly affects your process.
But that's 80% of car dealers. 80% of car dealers add a widget on it, put nothing into it, put nothing into advertising, and they go, okay, it's going to work. It's kind of like,
and then it doesn't work and they cancel it 6 months later. Right.
And it's because you put nothing in it. You didn't understand it. You can have the best tools in the world, but if you don't utilize it, it doesn't matter. You're just, I looked at a CRM change that I did a few years ago where we went with the best CRM that we thought was available, but we only utilized 20% of it. So it was better to go back to the old CRM that we utilized 100% of it. And that's the problem right now with what's going on in our community and dealers, is that everybody wants to run out and put digital retailing on their site, but they don't know how to utilize it. They don't want to, there's a disconnect there, and it's going to take them to get up to speed on this. And this is great for the automotive business because Gray's survey may have said, hey, 54% of the people still want to come in and buy a car from you. Well, that's because they weren't educated in that there is an easier way, because there wouldn't be a Carvana around, right, if you couldn't deliver a car to your home. So we have to adapt to be able to do
can
both.
dealers really afford right now to put a DR tool on their website and offer a bad experience to the customers?
That's
I think everybody learned that when you put that tool, that widget on your site, it's more about the process. Everybody learned that. Took 2 to 3 years for people to figure that out. And
it's
all
not,
the DR
I think they
companies
impact each other, Ryan. I mean, they impact each other. I love how passionate Herb is about this too. He's like, no, you got like he's fired. I just like watching his body language, bro. That's the show. That is the show.
Hey, real quick, John Robertson, your mic is hot, and I know you raised your hand for a question. What's your question?
So quick statement, first of all, and then I'll get into my question. First of all, I agree with Herb and Mike both. The answer is you need to be ready to live to whatever the customer's desire is. So if they want it all digital, give them all digital. If they want to walk in the showroom, make sure the showroom's clean, right? So that's, at the end of the day, it's the customer that owns how that experience is going to occur. And the dealers we work with are trying to get set up for both. And that's what's really important. So to my question, we're scrambling right now in the transport business. And I know Jay and I talk all the time, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about to get this thing covered, because now all of a sudden dealers need to figure out how to ship cars retail, right? So how are we going to do that? John, can we have a button on the website to do that? And I say to him, guys, that's not it. You got to figure out titling and registration state to state. You got to figure out paperwork. You got to figure out loans. You got to figure out if the loan company is going to determine whether it's a wet signature or whether or not, all this complexity that goes into it that Herb's been talking about, and why you need to get set up to do it right. So here's my question. Sorry. Everybody's scrambling to do that today. We've been working on a solution at Ship Your Car Now for a little while. We're getting ready to roll it out. Awesome, crazy timing that it is. What do you think? Are people going to continue to do this after this is over? 30 days, 60 days from now, everybody race to get into digital. Are they going to stay there, or are we going to see everybody go, okay, now we're done. We covered it for our 30 days. We're done. We're out. We're back to the showroom.
Dealers? You're asking, do you think dealers are going to go back?
Dealers.
I don't think so. I think this is going to, it's going to force transformation that you'll either adopt or die, and it'll stick around. And I also think, and I want to hear what you guys have to say, but I also think that a lot of these corporate auto groups, the big guys, are they're gonna swallow up the smaller dealerships that can't get through this, because a lot won't get through this, and they're gonna swallow them up, and they're gonna flip them and transform them and make them into big, one of their big box entities.
Well, and I think the other thing to explore here is, we're obviously the concept of modern retailing right now is hot, and I understand why. But is it really an offline experience? It's not like we're dropping the car off at the customer's house, although that can be done. But a lot of times that customer still has to go into the dealership and sign paperwork. That customer still has to go through some sort of internal process. So, what are we really offering to the customer? Because there's a perception issue too, that they're thinking that, hey, I purchased this vehicle, and now what do we do? Do we take the car to the customer? If we do that and we're, 10 to 30 miles from the dealership, okay, maybe that's doable. But what out? You know what I mean? And now we got to get shipping involved. There's a lot of things to consider here. It's not, we talk about digital retailing, and the understanding is that it's a full, offsite process, but that's not really the case,
Just comes down to transparency and being there for the customer, whichever way they want. You have to be open enough to be able to deliver a car to a customer's home, whether they're 2 miles from you or 100 miles from you or 500 miles. We've been shipping cars everywhere around the country for years. And most of our cars, we do it. It's not been our game plan because it's a loss of control issue. We want to get them to the showroom so that we're in control. But you know what? With transparency, what do you really control anyway? You throw your price up there, you're doing everything, your F&I products. What's the difference? Do you need a wet signature? Then you need to find a source. Either you internally need to adapt delivering it to somebody's home within 30 miles of you. But if you say, I do at-home delivery or we ship, we need to set up the charges for it. We need to find a provider that can do it. And we actually just need to do what we say we're going to do. So that's all.
And that's the key.
complicated.
We have to do what we say we're going to do, but we're not saying what we're going to do. We just put it on the website and we tell the customer, oh, we're digital, you know, we're online purchase ready, but we don't.
Well, I think we're definitely seeing an evolution, and I absolutely agree with her.
This is an evolution.
Overall, it's an evolution right now. Like you're saying, Ryan, is it going to change things? Yeah, I think like anything else, you're going to see a big curve. You're going to see a spike right now. Oh, we got to make all these changes. We got to do all this stuff. And the people that will actually remain, you're going to see it go down and plateau some. The people that will remain are the ones that started creating quality processes, so their marketing and their processes coincide. Because you can't say you're going to do one thing and not deliver on it, because people are going to see that. There's a comment on the side here, NYC traffic on Jay's feed. I'm all over the place, man. I got this. So it says, he says Carvana already has all that in place, all the legal form, loan forms, etc. I have some really strong opinions on Carvana, because while on the surface they look like, hey, this is all shiny and new, the back end of that.
That's what I say. The back end.
Yeah, the back end of that process. One, Carvana is still losing their butt, as far as I know, on money. You know, just calling it how it is.
Yeah, and they don't have a fixed ops department to keep them afloat right now.
No. And if you look at the way that their legal forms, their loan forms and stuff, there's all kinds of loopholes. There's all kinds of problems. People that get a car and isn't what they said it was, and so on and so forth, have an absolutely disastrous experience. It's terrible for the ones that it doesn't work for. It works for the people that it works for, but it doesn't for the ones that it didn't work for, if that makes sense.
Just as you say that. So the mental picture I got in this, because this is how car shipping is that you have a clean, shiny counter, and the customer walks in and sees that and is like, yep, my hair appointment's at 2:30, want my car at 2:45. You go through the back door, and there is sausage everywhere and people and craziness. That is the reality.
Yeah, 100%.
And it hasn't changed, and that's why people are so frustrated, and people go to Google, and they're just like, you know, the number one car ship, this is real, the number one car shipping Google search result is cheap car shipping. What a great way to start off on the wrong foot.
Hey, I have a question for Jay and John, too, since you're in the shipping business. But before I ask my question, I just turned the mic on for somebody who's using Herb's Zoom access. I don't know your name, but your mic is on.
It's Rich Luciano. I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Hi, Rich.
Yes.
So I'm the performance manager with vAuto. I work with Herb closely with his stores. And, you know, I'm telling you how I'm sharing with my clients. And I got 130 dealers. I've been in the business 31 years, and I'm asking dealers, are you looking 5 years down the road? What does it look like, this business, 5 years down the road? Is there a percentage of consumers, and will this change how their buying habits? You know, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some people in business right now. My cousin, for instance, he's in Arizona. He had the biggest month he ever had this last month. They crushed it because they had a process 7 years ago that we started when I was out there of doing deliveries to customers no matter where they are. So it wasn't new to him. So I've just got off a call with a dealer that's panicking that she's got so many people showing up at her showroom in Colorado. She's afraid to stay open because she doesn't want to jeopardize her people. And I've tried to get her to go to this online delivery process. It's pretty difficult. Do we have the 10 steps it takes to do a home delivery? You know, evaluating a car, not having to be there. Most people think that they want the customer to come in because they want to control the F&I money, because that's the only money you make anymore. You know, that's what they want to control. So you need to sell that. They're not used to that process. About 10 days ago, I was on a joint meeting with some performance managers, and I had never heard of Shift.com. Maybe some of you guys have.
Yep.
I went through that website with a fine-tooth comb, and I kind of looked at it. I said, gee, these guys got it dialed in. So, you know, I say some of the best ideas get from copying other people's inventions. And I said, 5 years down the road, this is what it looks like. If you're not selling 25 to 35% of your vehicles online without seeing a customer, you're going to be behind the curve. It's just like Blockbuster. It's just like Motorola. I remember those comments. Who's going to buy a device for $1,000? And look at the iPhones, right? Blockbuster. How could Netflix ever have taken place unless Blockbuster just got so stubborn to have people continue to go to a video store? People will eventually be buying cars. The factory, since I've been in the car business, has been trying to figure out a way to direct ship customers' cars without breaking franchise agreements. It's coming. It's an evolution. It's going to happen.
I like that. You want to hear something crazy? There is a family-owned video store called Family Video.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Brown and red. Oh, you guys know it.
Love them.
And every time there's a lot of them around here, and I'm like, how do these guys? They're like, how have they done it? They haven't innovated or anything. They usually
talk about a time machine.
I know, it's crazy.
Right? It's
I don't
awesome.
even have a machine to put a disc in.
Yeah, but
I walked in, I was like, wow, they still have this?
Are you curious enough to stop by and experience it? And that's the thing.
I used to go in. I used to be a customer, but a few years ago, I got rid of my DVD player, so I can't be a customer there because I don't have a DVD player.
Well, everyone's talking. If I can, Ryan, everyone's talking about it'll be an evolution. Like I said, I really think you'll see a spike. Everybody will make all these changes and stuff. The people that can't sustain their processes are going to they're going to go out. I think I struck a nerve with NYC traffic on Jay's feed, because he's like, you got to catch up. For us as a dealer, for us as an individual dealer, and I know many other dealers feel this way, I don't have a problem doing a full digital retail deal. I never have to talk to the person. We deliver cars out of state all the time. I would deliver them across town. Our biggest constraint right now is the state agencies. But that's for us. And I think that Herb, I forgot the guy's name that was using your login from vAuto. And so you said you have a dealer in Colorado. I'm in Colorado as well. Our biggest struggle isn't the digital retailing piece. It's not the video walk around. We have all of the things in place, and we deliver cars regularly. As a used car independent, we sell 150, 160 used cars a month. And so we have a decent sized operation for a used car store. Our struggle right now, that last piece, like you were saying, is the wedding signature. So yeah, I can drive it to somebody's house. I can FedEx it within town here or whatnot, but there's still other rules and regulations that we have to comply with that truly fall outside of our control.
I'm 100% aware of that. A lot of the things that you look at, like DocuSign, how can you get those through your state legislators? And obviously that's a big part of it. I see there's some transportation guys on here. The dealership that I have is an independent in Colorado and doing a good job. Not broken.
Who's the store? Can I ask?
Modern Classic Motors.
Okay. They're good friends of ours.
Grand Junction, Colorado. So they've been with me about 9, 10, 11 months now. And everything that the store's done or that I've recommended they've done has had success with it. And this is the next stage. So I'll give it, I want transportation. It's difficult. And I said to him, I said, maybe it's time to, if we get this process going, we're going to commit to it. I like the Carvana truck that you see, right? Maybe it's time to have a truck that delivers vehicles. I mean, how far are we going? 50, 100 miles for local deliveries. And then out-of-state deliveries, we use companies outside, like your guys' companies, wherever you guys belong to. It's being I got called right today for a car. Hey, I need help. I need a car to Chicago for Vegas. And I says, well, I got a friend. I'll give it to him. He's pretty good. He gets the job done. And he does. So transportation is one of it. The DocuSign issue is another one of it. The state legislation, how they look at this stuff. But at the end of the day, if we don't start taking steps in the automobile business, Amazon will be selling cars. That's the next thing.
Oh, they're on board anyway. They're already they're piloting programs through who is it? Hyundai right now has a pilot program through Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, scheduling test drives, I believe.
Yeah.
And
if you ever wanted to see an evolution in the business, imagine if Walmart opened up in every one of their stores a Kia dealership. Think about it. How many stores are Walmart in the country? And you put them inside a Kia store. I said that for years. It
would open up a lot of new memes.
Sure.
I agree. Yeah, man. I mean, but see, here's the other thing that's crazy, right? And I mean, this is maybe an ignorant comment, so, forgive my ignorance, but Carvana's doing it, right? And I'm not I disagree with a lot of there's a lot of dooms sort of thinking when it comes to Carvana. I think that it's kind of like a novelty, if that's the right word choice here, because people would want to do that. But I don't think that the people that buy that car online, would they really do that again multiple times through that same Carvana process? I don't know. I think that we're surprising those numbers, but they do it, right? You buy the car and the car shows up at your house.
But you know what?
In between,
that's not a stupid
process,
question.
I don't know. But
here's the deal with that.
Let me just finish this thought really quick. I don't know what happens between that process, but they do it. Why can't dealers do it? and do it in a way that it's just the norm. It's just part of doing business. It's an expectation.
It's most likely going to be a percentage down the road in our business. But here's why Carvana does it. It ain't their goddamn money. And they make no money. They're never going to make no money.
Yeah.
You know, who's the best retailer of used cars in the country? And I used to laugh at them in the beginning.
CarMax.
It's still CarMax, right?
Mm-hmm.
CarMax is still the best. They're still a brick and mortar store. I want it. You know, don't get me wrong. I think digital is the way to go to the future, but it's never going to take over. There's dealer associations. It's just they're too locked in state legislations and governments. It's never going to take 100% over. But dealers got to be prepared to do some of the deliveries to these millennials.
You need a 360-degree process. Wherever the customer is going to come in that circle, is it digital? Is it physically on the lot? Do they want to have your car picked up for service? It's a 360-degree sales process for whatever it looks like to the consumer. Because we keep trying, you know, the difficulty is we butt heads with people because we all have a sales process. Like, this is our sales process, and Mr. Buyer, you got to get into my sales process. The reality is they have a buying process as well, and the problem is they don't coincide. And so we have to find a way that, okay, well, here's what our sales process is. And I hate the word transparent about it, but it allows them to step into that circle of wherever their buying process is. I think that's something that, you know, over time, in the next 5 years, you're going to have to be there. You're not going to exist. I mean, yeah, maybe you have a family video anomaly, right? Yeah, right. But in general, the dealers that are like, just in David and Herb will appreciate this. Just get them in. That's going to be broken, man. It's going to be broken.
That's kind of what made me join you guys today when I seen that. You know, I said, just get them in. That looking at that stuff that's kind of, you know, I'm an old school car guy, but I've adapted to the new philosophies and stuff that are going on. I think that's why I'm still relevant in the business. You know, if you don't have a percentage of your cars being delivered over the phone or a process that, you know, picks up where the customer comes in, where you left off. You know, I just bought a truck. I did everything online. I found the truck online. I shopped it just like a regular customer. I got the best deal. I sent in my information, got everything approved. I went there, picked up the car. I was out in 20 minutes. You know, now I have a little bit more experience at that, but these millennials and the younger people, they understand, they know, they've done the shopping. What the dealers are afraid of, they're afraid of putting up a full transparency of like an F&I product. It's where it really comes in now anymore. It's really only the profitability of a store is running on their F&I.
So I got to interrupt. This happens all the time. You get a bunch of guys talking about the car business, and we keep saying the dealers, this. And I mean, Mike and Dave are dealers. What we need to be doing is working through the actual problems, not the rhetorical problems, but the actual problems. So, like in Mike's case, I don't know if you were on at the beginning, Rich, but you know, Mike's in Colorado. He's an independent dealer. And when the governor finally said, okay, well, you can sell cars by appointment only, digital only, except that the DMV doesn't have a digital process, like that's a real problem. Yeah. And if I could just put some perspective on all of this, we're in a time now where we're running into new limitations and restrictions because of the pandemic, because of politics, because of government mandates that are putting new restrictions. And the dealer right now, Dave Rozek, Mike Phillips, are being forced to adapt and work around those. And I think the silver lining in this is, as a result of doing so, we'll have kind of solved some hurdles that we've maybe not had, we weren't forced to solve before. Yeah. And now we're going to be forced to. So I don't think we need to keep hammering it out that dealers aren't doing this and aren't doing that. We've been up here a few hours. And
Rich, Ryan, I got to run. I've got another conference call here in a few minutes.
Yeah, so. This is gone. So I think I want to wrap this up. Yeah. Rich, just so you know. It's good to meet
you guys, but I do have to run right now.
Thank you, Mike.
Ryan, for the invitation.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Rich, just so you know, I'll send you a link. What you want to do is get registered with your own Zoom access. It's a one-time registration, because every week, every Wednesday, we're doing the show and the mastermind. We'll do different panelists and stuff like that. But you know, I just want you to know that you can get your own access, so you don't have to. I see three Herbs up here today.
When I saw Herb was on it, and I just had a meeting cancel on me, I said, "Hey, let me jump in." I'm always looking to find information, talk to other people about helping my clients out, and you know, most of the ideas come from groups like this where we can share stuff. And that's no longer that egomaniac stuff.
Yeah, and that's why. By the way, I want to say, let's connect.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Herb has my contact information. I'm not sure how to send it off of here, but definitely Herb has it. You could share it with them. And if you want to take my number down, you're welcome to. I'll give it to you right now.
Yeah, I'd really like to get it.
It's 702-574-6728. And my email's pretty easy. It's rich.luciano, Luciano, at coxautoinc.com.
Great. We'll connect.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you for letting me join in and listen in and be part of this.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
See you guys.
Chris on the live feed just asked how he gets on the Zoom. And Chris, I know you are already registered with the show from probably like a couple years ago, because Chris used to come on and be a panelist. But for those that are hearing this, all you got to do is register, like I told Rich, and that'll automatically generate your access to get on the Zoom. And that's at autoconversion.net. Look under shows and you'll see Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show, or under Masterminds, look for the Mobility Mastermind. Jay, there was a comment here from your side. You want to read that?
Yeah, Ron.
Your mic's off.
Oh,
sorry.
I didn't want you to have to listen to me typing. Ron is just talking about Carvana, and we had that conversation going. So his comment was, gentlemen, of course there are regulations from state to state. We don't live in a third world country. How do you think Amazon has navigated these hurdles?
So this is John Robertson with Ship Your Car Now. I actually have an answer for that if you're interested.
Great. Love it.
All right. So there are organizations out there that you can hire as a third party, and we're working with one right now to put a solution together where we can handle titles and registration in all 50 states. They literally, as an organization, maintain relationships with all 50 states, 1,300 counties, and I believe a couple of, what are those called down in Louisiana? Parishes, because there's literally regulations all the way down to that level. But they've actually done the homework over the last several years to build out those relationships and understand they can feed you back all the fees you need to charge up front, tell you who you need to pay them on the back end, and file all the paperwork for you. So it's a pretty slick process, and it helps gets title registration done everywhere.
Well, and it's interesting, John, is that title and registration is not something that really gets discussed in traditional car shipping circles.
Exactly.
And that is fascinating, isn't it? Because we know as we move into this digital world of retailing online for dealerships, we're hearing it talked about. But yeah, you go back to the car shipping conference, and I mean, I don't even know if anybody talks about it.
And what's funny, Jay, and we were reaching out to our dealers that are out there right now that we do normal moves for, normal transportation, and saying to them, what can we do to help you right now? And I'm closed, I got to do this, I'm figuring out how to do online. And we're like, no problem, online, we're there. You need to ship vehicles, we're there, we got you. And they're like, no, you don't understand. I don't have a clue how to do the paperwork. Everybody can ship the car.
Well, that's right.
How do we get that done? And that's kind of where we went back and said, oh, well, wait a minute. We've been working on this project since last fall. It's a great time to bring it to the forefront to try and get some of the paperwork servicing done in conjunction with that delivery function, because 9 times out of 10, if you're going out of state, you're going to need the paperwork taken care of at the same time you're going to need shipping. So it's a nice match, right?
And the carrier would say, sure, I'll do it. How much extra do I get?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no truck driver out there that isn't going to want $25 more to have somebody sign a piece of paperwork. But
yeah, which seems reasonable to me. But yeah, we're going to have to talk about it. Yeah. And that's what excites me, is that with all these new changes, etc., well, yeah, there's a treasure trove of things to talk about on Tuesday nights live on AutoTransport Intel.
Yeah, there is. I had a question for you guys, Jay and John here. Well, all this talk on the dealer side about having to adjust messaging and protocols for public health, right? Are you having to do any of that on the shipping side?
Oh, huge. Yeah.
And so both with protocols and practices, but also with messaging as well?
Jay, you want to go first?
Well, I don't mind if you run with it, but I think we literally just opened the book on this.
Yeah.
We're on page 1.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because the traditional picture of the truck driver, right? The guy rolls out of the truck, he's all greasy, he's covered in dirt, he's just sat inside their car and backed it off the truck, and it's not exactly something, and consumers not so much, but dealerships for sure have seen that often enough that they have that vision of their mind of that happening. And now I got to be white gloves. I got to be, he needs to have a holster with a can of Lysol on one side and wipes on the other, and he's spraying the steering wheel off as he gets out. So we're literally putting out instructions on all of our dispatch sheets to our drivers that say, here are the steps we need you to take before you deliver this vehicle. And we're specifically putting those line by line in the driver instructions, and they've got to sign up if they're willing to do that. Right now, the good news is they're not asking for more money to do it.
So, and here's the thing. This is what makes this so hard. It was already hard enough. You're lucky if you got the carrier putting a liner, right, in the seat. Or right? That was great. But now, if a driver has to keep track of all the parts of the car he touched, it's not just the steering wheel. You know what it's like for these guys to load a 9 car. They're touching the side of the car,
or
they're stepping out of the car. I mean, forget about it. So and by the way, to get a carrier to read the entire document line by line was already hard. So now, with this added level of fiduciary responsibility of people's health, oh my gosh, please don't search cheap car shipping anymore.
Yeah.
I brought this up for her because it's kind of on the subject here, but gloves don't really help with that. Like if for the shipper, the transporter wearing gloves, that's not going to really minimize the spread for them.
What do you mean?
It was for Jay and John. I'm sorry.
Well,
just talking about taking precautions.
The problem with gloves is, and we've all been seeing it on all the coverage that's out there right now. The problem with gloves is that everybody doesn't use them right. So if a truck driver isn't trained on how to use them right, they're not doing any good, and most people aren't.
What about those steering wheel covers? I keep thinking and going back to that. I mean, and I don't know what the, how sanitary they may be, but it seems
like a shower cap. Yeah.
Well, because I'm thinking long term, like how much damage are those chemicals that were spraying inside the car is going to do to that steering wheel or to the interior of that car, if any? I don't know. But
good question. There's a whole new man. There's a company right now opening up called Cars.
Oh, there's one out there.
Lysol.
Yeah, there's I've been getting hammered by a guy who is literally putting together truck, auto carrier kits for cleaning that are being issued out to carriers. So it's already happening.
Wow, great. You know what, John? I'd love to know more about it. So
yeah, I'll send you a link, Jay.
That'd be great.
I'm turning Chris Leslie's microphone on. He might have to sign a disclaimer because he's going to ruffle some feathers. Dave, I know you said you have to go. Don't feel like you're forced to stay here. I mean, I'm locked in.
No worries.
I'm obligated till I'll always be the last man standing.
Normal.
But yeah, I mean, Jay, even yourself, I know. Are you still streaming to ATI?
That's what they tell me.
No kidding. All right.
Well, thank you everyone for having me on.
Thanks, Dave. And let's get rescheduled.
Things.
We'll get Chris back on, and we'll approach it a little bit differently since it didn't happen today.
Hey, we can get Chris back on another time. Thank you again, everybody, for your help.
By the way, Chris says he's here.
Yeah, he is. Bye, Dave.
See you, Dave.
And John, by the way, I'm glad you made it up here today. Obviously, you got my email and saw Jay was going to be up here.
Yeah. Thanks, John. That was great.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I was glad to join.
So, Herb, do you still want me to show those things that we were going to look at?
Yeah, I mean, we could take a look at the website really quick just to kind of show that. And then I want to give a little tidbit on GMBs really quick. But yeah, if you want to pull up the main site. So just a suggestion. And I'm not saying.
Hang on one sec while I bring that up. Chris, I know you've been sitting here listening to this all this time. Was there something that you popped on that you wanted to specifically to respond to?
No, I just wanted to talk crap in the chat box with everybody else.
Do you want your
All right,
camera?
well done, sir.
Do you want your camera on? Or are you cool?
No, I didn't put my makeup on. I'm good.
Oh.
Well, then we should put your camera. You don't want it. You don't want your camera on. You're good.
No thanks.
Okay.
I'm still wearing my PJs.
You know, when you're not ready, you're just not ready. Hey, by the way, Ryan, this show's now as long as my show.
I knew that was going to happen, dude.
Isn't that cool?
Well, ever since I started watching your show, I'm like, man, because everyone that does them with me knows I always force them. I always force them to end at the bottom of the hour.
Right.
And you, I guess, motivated me to break the, kind of let my guard down. So
Adapt.
Yeah. All right, Herb,
great,
here we
man.
are.
Really great stuff.
StephenWade.com.
Yeah, just a couple things to consider, right? Like I was saying earlier, like your message is different. The message is different, or should be anyway. So it's one of the first things that you need to address as you get people to your site. Now, and I know people are talking about traffic being up and all that, but is the quality of the traffic there? So if you're not paying attention, if you're just looking at the pie chart of the traffic going up and you're not looking in your,
you got to know what that traffic is.
Yeah,
and
you gotta see your goal conversion, your bounce rate, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Here, right.
And actually, I want to hear from Chris. Chris and Herb, you guys know each other, right?
Yeah. Chris used to be one of my clients. Yeah.
So, Chris, what do you see?
I taught Herb everything he knows.
That's right.
Pretty much.
You're the Wizard of Oz for Herb. What are you seeing traffic-wise on your sites?
We haven't seen a whole lot of dipping anywhere. Obviously, there's a little bit more traffic coming to service and coming to parts, but we haven't seen a drop-off at all from people actually looking at sales and interacting with the different pieces on the website.
Okay, and any shift in interest and behavior?
Obviously, leads are a little bit down, but some of the lead providers that we use, they're still coming in. GM third-party leads are still coming in just as strong.
Mm-hmm.
Whether for whatever reason that is, I know that their AutoBytel is GM is a big customer of AutoBytel, so lead providers are not in the business of not sending as many leads.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just we're just being a little bit more cautious on how much we're inviting people in and trying to do as much as we can through the website. We're set up to do the majority of stuff through the website, through different integrations with Shop Click Drive, through our company that we use, Promax, for actually doing credit pulls and things like that. We've got all the stores using trade pending, so we're able to give some decent used vehicle values, and we're driving more traffic to the website from inside the store, which is a little bit odd to a lot of people, but we're doing the best we can.
Okay. Are you working remotely or at the store?
I'm at the store.
Okay.
I'm hidden like in a back office somewhere. You'd never be able to find me anyways.
Unlike Herb, who looks like he's at a Men's Warehouse. Someone asked earlier if you're at a Men's Warehouse. Where are you?
I'm at a dealership, a Mercedes-Benz store.
Okay, so that's their boutique shop. All right, lead the way here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so obviously first thing when customers pop up is the message, right? We're here to help, and then click the Learn More button. I
like that.
And it'll take you to a landing page that could describe, right? So service, sales, parts, and each one of those tabs is gonna give you the experience. What's different now? And that way customers know what they should expect, right? When they're depending on their needs. Are they looking for a car? Do they need parts, or do they need service? So something like that, to just let the customers know that, hey, listen, things are different. We understand the situation, and here's how we are.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you also plan to have a video on this page?
Yeah, we were kind of debating doing that, and yes, we do. We have some video content already. We're using it mainly on social media for the time being. But I think it'd be the problem with videos is that people don't, there's this expectation or understanding that customers or that videos on websites get a lot of play, and they don't. You know what I mean? They just don't. Customers just don't spend a lot of time on videos on websites other than inventory videos. You know what I mean? And so you got to be really careful you know, again, if you're not looking at the data and you're not looking at the numbers, and it's going to be really hard for you to know that, you know what I mean? And you can spend a lot of time and effort putting this video on there that just doesn't get any activity.
Yeah.
But I want to say this, here's the problem, is that, and this is the return on investment problem on marketing and advertising in general, is having it up there can actually be pretty helpful perception wise, even if it doesn't get a lot of clicks.
Yeah, sure. And you know, that's this, right? Because, you know, you don't know if this is going to last 30 days or a month, or, you know, some people are talking September before things normalize.
Something generic though, right?
So, but yeah, I mean, we
Some
have
evergreen video. Yeah.
We have video content, but we've chosen to go the social media route with our videos because that's where it gets the most engagement. And then leave the information on the site. Because the other thing to consider is if you put a video in there, it's going to push everything down, right? So now you won't be able to see the you know what I mean? And so how, again, viewship versus it looking like, hey, there's a lot of content there or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's smart. It's a good response. Put the
is.
videos where you know they're being used. Do you want me
The
to
other
bump
thing
over?
if you can go back to the GMB really quick, is I wanted to kind of give this tip because David alluded to this earlier, but a lot of dealers don't know that they can post ads within their GMB.
Sorry.
So,
I had a question for you. Sorry, before I leave there. Is this what you call a modal?
Yes.
Okay. I always thought it was a light box.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, yeah. But.
Same idea, similar idea. Okay.
Scroll down.
Scroll down.
So right there, click the view all. So there, again, it's the same message that's on the website, but it's on the GMB, and customers can click that and it'll go straight to that landing page. You know what I mean? So there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We have a few here.
It tells it one for parts, one for service, and then one for sales. And then it tells the customer what it is that we're doing to address the current situation, and it takes them back to that page. But a lot of dealers don't, you know, I see a lot of GMBs for car dealerships that are not taking advantage of those posts. And that's not just for this, man. You can put your inventory on there. You can put videos, you know, and it's free. It doesn't.
Hey, Chris, GMB comes up a lot on panels lately as a pretty significant driver. Are you?
What's GMB?
Yeah, I'm wondering what.
I know you're digging with me. Google My Business, Jay.
Yeah. Google My Business.
What's Google?
Now you're.
I've
now
not
you're
heard
really,
this term of art before.
There he is.
Google My Business.
It's a love-hate relationship. It's a love-hate relationship with GMB, right? So, we do put a few amount of posts on there. It's hard. There's only like one. Here's the problem that you have is a lot of times dealers, and including myself, who run 4 stores, look for ways to kind of streamline some of the posts. So you look for like automatic scheduling tools or things that share, if this and that, all that kind of stuff. There's only one tool out there that I know of that has Google My Business included in that. So it makes it a little tough to get consistent posts over to there rather than just updating the info. But there are a lot of new features that have come out, you know, like Herb was saying, like video and being able to put more call to actions and things like that. So we've been posting there quite a bit more often.
Herb, you have them all linking to that PSA page? Okay. Just making sure it was right.
Ads, because that's what they're for. The other thing about the GMB that I want to bring attention to right now is service becomes more of I don't want to say a necessity, but it becomes like the primary thing, and not because we can't sell cars, but because, you know, it's about helping people, right? Split GMBs. So have a GMB for your sales and have a GMB for your service department. Now, Google it typically has looked at that as bad, but now, especially for car dealers, they're actually allowing to do that. The only thing that I would suggest is if you're gonna go that route is put your service as located within the dealership so that it appears as part of the GMB. But that separation allows you, number one, to have more accurate information about your service department, which has always been a kind of this gray area because you got to choose one or the other if you just have the one. And then for optimization purposes as well, because now, for example, just put service ads. So, you know, and I've seen increases in results just by separating the two, you know, just on the SEO side of things. So, you know.
Are you saying, are you talking about still right here, separating them in here?
Yeah, so have a Google My Business page for service and have a Google My Business page.
Have two separate pages.
Two separate ones, but with the understanding that you have to put your service one as located within the dealership. Otherwise, you can run into some issues there.
Right. Where would you put the sales one then? Like
you'll have your sales would be your primary one, and your service would be located within the sales one.
Okay, but you can have two different profiles.
Yes.
I was searching for Ship Your Car Now because John's on here, and
let me ask you this. Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've heard a few people say that, Herb, and I kind of messed around with one of my stores, and I had like, you know, Chevrolet service, Pahrump, Chevrolet parts, Pahrump, like kind of how they say to have it.
Yeah.
And the idea that, from what I understood, was that if somebody searches for Chevrolet service, right, in the city of Las Vegas, for example, they might potentially show up. Another dealer or a dealership might potentially show up twice because they've got their main Google My Business account, and now they've also got the Chevrolet My Business account. The problem that I saw is that it did not happen on a local level, right? So if I just did Chevrolet service, depending on what part of town I was in, because I drove around a little bit to try to test this out, depending on what part of town I was in, whoever was the closest dealer from me would be the one that would show up. And then secondarily, when I tried to kind of play around with this idea in Pahrump, what happened is that the service GMB took over for the main search term of the store name, right? So like a secondary GMB started showing up as the main one.
Not the location, but the located one.
Exactly, yeah, the one located inside.
I haven't seen that. As a matter of fact, I've seen what you're saying about the brand part, which is kind of irritating to me.
Yeah.
Like, because you would have to, you know, nobody's going to search Toyota oil change, right? People are going to search oil changes near me or things of that nature. But what I've seen a big uptick in is in you know, when people do those local searches, and this for service specific, not brand service specific, but just service specific. There's a boost on the service side of things.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I've seen some of that. I've seen, you know, that brand association is kind of, you know, it's based on location. But then again, how many people search, you know, like in your case, Chevy oil change, or Toyota oil change? No, I mean,
that was me.
Jay and John, I'm curious from the shipping side. I'm gonna do Ship Your Car Now. How much dialogue do you have with your audience about things like this, the marketing and Google My Business and stuff?
Well, as I like to say, I said it last night, the more information I share, the more my views drop.
The more information you share?
It's a joke, but it's true. Is that, you know, it's just
like what?
We've got so much information now, and we've been here so long that, I mean, the views are relatively low, and that's okay. I don't get discouraged about it, because there's always somebody out there that is like, you know, they're ready to take the car apart. We've given so much information, so I don't, and this is why I tell everybody, thinking you can measure the ROI on this is a dangerous game.
Yeah. The ROI on
views, clicks, all that stuff. You may only inspire a couple people in a 2-hour live show, but those people, man, they're ready to burn the village and repaint everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, today's program, you know, went a few different directions, and that was intentional, right? You know, spice it up, mix it up.
Yeah.
It's not going to be relevant to everybody the whole time. But my question was, do you talk about things like marketing?
Yeah,
in Google My Business? Okay.
So GMB Google My Business is a new term of art for me. I'm now going to use it ad nauseum and make memes and everything else. But yeah, I talk about marketing and advertising all the time. Because again, and John knows this, marketing and advertising has been so underutilized by so many people in car shipping. The greatest thing about car shipping is that this has been the Stone Age, and so if you're thinking with a modern brain and applying it to car shipping, whoa, look out, look at what you could do. And even dealerships, unfortunately, some are finding out the hard way that, I know in February 2020, I was at the trade shows, and a lot of dealerships were like, nah, I'm good. We're not going to do that. Okay. 1 month later, how's that working for you?
Yeah, for us, we've got two sides to the business. So, what you just hit, Ryan, was our consumer side. So we have a huge portion of our, well, not huge, it's probably about 40% of our business is personally owned vehicles, so consumers. We do a lot with the, Twitter, Facebook, SEO. We're doing all of those places. And in that world, we kind of look at our advertising spend. We've spent at a certain level, and we've figured out where spending more isn't paying off more, but we know cutting back cuts us down. So we've kind of discovered that optimum spend level where, $1 is getting me X, and if I spend $1.50, I'm only getting X plus 0.1. It's not worth the extra 50
Yeah,
cents.
there's a sweet spot there.
Yeah, so we've hit that pretty well, and we've had to mix it up a lot because obviously, and Herb alluded to it earlier, when you said Google didn't used to like that, now they do like it. They change their mind every 6 months what they like and what they don't like.
There's a saturation that there's this perception where saturation is impressive. So if you saturate with your marketing message, like people keep seeing you, they just assume you're a bigger business.
Yeah, on the B2B side, it's working with guys like you and Jay, and just really getting our word out there. I mean, we've done, and Jay, you said it earlier, you can do X amount of work, and then one phone call from that particular blog that I did with Joe Overby on auto remarketing or whatever it was.
That's right.
And bam, that whole pays for the entire conference, right?
That's it, man.
B2B world's a little different for us.
B2B and B2C are very different. And, when I talk with, so companies, contact me, I get PR companies, they're like, oh, can we book guests on your programs, right? Because that's what PR companies do, is they're looking for exposure. And when I'm showing them things, one of the first things they all say is, what's your audience? How many people are you reaching? And the minute they ask that, I know that they're basically in a race to the bottom on this make-believe numbers game.
Yes,
because what you just said, absolutely, John, all you need is one relationship here and there, and that's where our ROI is. So, and Jay, you and I know this. What we do, and Herb, you probably get this with your podcast. It's one brick here and it's one brick there, and you just build that foundation of relationships, and brands can benefit from that. Brands can absolutely benefit from those introductions that you make. So Jay, I talked to a company today. I said, we are not an ad buy. We're not a mainstream mass media ad buy. That's not what we do. We are a business development and networking partner. And the byproduct of that effort is media. That's the byproduct. You get content, you get social media. That's the byproduct.
You can TikTok 50,000 people and not sell anything.
Yeah. And you can buy reach. I mean, and that is a space. Here's what's interesting. I didn't know.
What about the other way around, guys? Since we're talking about that.
Yeah.
Let me finish that real quick, because I like that. Do you ever see Tesla ads?
Right. Do you need to?
They don't advertise. I never thought about it until someone pointed that out.
That's a good point.
But you do.
Tesla doesn't advertise.
He does. He just doesn't advertise in the traditional sense. You know what I mean? But all the attention that he gets, he puts a crazy tweet out there, and 50,000 people see it. And what do you think they think about?
Well, yeah. So they don't do paid ads. They don't do paid advertising. Yeah. They do earned media. It's a PR play. And I just say that it's an example of, and they're a consumer brand, right? And everybody knows about them, and it's because of their PR strategy. My parents are in the mortgage business, and Their website looks like it was out in 1975, and they have no LinkedIn presence, no web presence, nothing. But their business is almost 100% referral, word of mouth, right? They almost don't take new business. It's like you have to be referred to them to do a mortgage.
Sounds very exclusive.
What's that?
How long did it take them to get there, though?
Oh yeah, I mean they've been at it since I was a kid. They've been at it. They focus on one county, right? They've been in one county. They have relationships with realtors. I know that my stepdad used to do lead. He used to buy leads, from the third party aggregators, and he always said the same thing. He's like, these are crappiest leads you can buy, so we stopped buying them.
So yeah, man. I mean, it's just when it comes to marketing, we got to stop thinking about it in the traditional sense of, hey, there's a commercial and I'm doing marketing. Like that's long and gone, man. We have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have all these platforms. As long as we're willing to turn on a camera and try to add value in some way, shape, or form, whether it be via podcast too. That's marketing. That's PR. That's creating content, and it's creating value for yourself. It's building your personal brand, which in turn is going to help you sell your products or move your products or however you look at it. Those days of having to do commercials and stuff, that, to my opinion, that's long gone. Now is the days of you're your editor, you're your content creator, you have the channels of distribution. Just go out there and be willing to share that.
Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the live stream down. So just for a formality, because there's no one on the live stream anymore. It's pretty much been everyone's moved on. But thanks for tuning in to the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show here on my YouTube channel for AutoConversion. I'm Ryan Gerardi. We had Jay Wurtzberger here from AutoTransport Intel Live. Thank you, Jay, for being up here with us. And
Thank
Herb
you for
Anderson.
having me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man. That was cool what we did. Nice experiment. A lot of great engagement today. John Robertson, glad you made it up here as well. And to the folks, if you're watching the recording here, this is an open forum. We do this every week, 2 o'clock Central, right here on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel and get notifications on. If you want to be on the Zoom, look for a link in the description. A one-time registration, and you can hop up here in the Zoom. And once you're registered, you are always welcome back. Hang tight, gentlemen. I'm just going to take us offline.
Well, I actually got a bounce. So.
All right. Sorry we didn't get into all the pages that you had.
No, it's fine. I mean, it was a good conversation. So.
Yeah, it went a lot of places. I'm always open to feedback. So, Herb, hit me up, hit us in Slack. I want to always make this stuff better.
Yeah, let's connect, Herb.
Absolutely.
Get you on AutoTransport Intel. We can finish that conversation.
Yeah, no, I know. We left things hanging. And Herb, nice to meet you. And I'm sure you and I will talk some more too.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye, Herb.
Take care. Ryan, we are still live on AutoTransport Intel, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here on my end. And I want to thank you for this. This was great. Lots of great conversation. Great information. By the way, if you're still tuned in on AutoTransport Intel, yeah, the video output is low. The stream is tired, as are we all. So thanks for joining us today, and look forward to continuing several of these conversations. And please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. If you're not watching this live and you're watching it later, please comment in the video below. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And please stay safe. Ultimately, that's what we're talking about, is doing business safer while adapting. It's a lot to handle at once, but we want to keep you safe. So thanks so much. Thanks for joining, Ron. Thanks for joining, Silvermint. You guys were great. Thanks for your input and chiming in. And I'll see you guys. I'll be live again Wednesday at noon. And hopefully the stream stays public. May the stream stay public. Okay. Thanks, y'all. And here we go. I'm going to stop the stream. Make it official. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. I think